Okay. All right. Okay. I was experimenting with some stuff, trying to get, I'm trying to patch these calls in and everything. Everybody say I'm good now. Okay, it's perfect. Okay, everybody says perfect. All right. All right, y'all. I'm back on Blog Talk. I know that on the Blog Talk, everybody's listening on Blog Talk and on YouTube. You want to come over to the YouTube channel, you can watch the show. I'm not going to take any calls on Blog Talk. I'm having a little problem with the patch and everything. So I'm going to just, I'm kind of like take questions from the YouTube chat room. All right, take questions from the YouTube chat room. So if you're on Blog Talk listening, you can. If you have to come over to YouTube, just go to YouTube, put in High Frequency Radio. We pop up. And, and then you can come over there and look at the live stream. We have a chat room over there. You can type in your questions or whatever it is that you had. This is what I wanted to do today, y'all. I wanted to talk a little bit about discharging debt using a secure party process. And, I've been kind of on the internet. I've been in chat rooms having discussions and things like that with different people and kind of looking at people's concept of the secure party process, exactly what their concept of it is, what do they think they're doing when they do the process. As I was trying to say earlier, somebody put on my Facebook page, I think it was Jack Smith, one of the guys, I may be wrong. He's currently in court. He's in appeals court, because he was charged with uttering instruments in an attempt to defraud, with the intent to defraud the United States. And we have to concentrate on this word intent, to defraud the United States. This is the reason why you have the first step in the secure process, party process, where you allow 30 days before you actually do any filings. All right, because of that reason right there. Okay, you're giving notice, so there isn't any intention on trying to defraud anyone. Also, probably what was brought out that nobody talked about is he put routing numbers on his instruments, which brought it into the public. Okay, a lot of you out there may be experimenting putting routing numbers on your instruments. I'm going to tell you unequivocally that not only is that illegal, but also it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. All you're doing is compromising the private integrity of your instrument by putting routing numbers on your instruments. You're putting routing numbers on your instruments. Additionally, let's talk about this account real quick. I think a lot of people out there, they're under the impression that you got an account with the government, a secret account. Okay, let me just say this. If there is an account, you don't have access to it. Okay? The secure party process is not about accessing secret accounts. It's about establishing a bond put into the bond on deposit with the Treasury Department. That Treasury Department Secretary of Treasury, he becomes the holder of that bond. That bond has a value, okay, and it also is going to gain interest. The principal from that bond is to be utilized to offset obligations in the public. Okay, you're not accessing some secret account. Okay, let me say that so you can understand me clearly. When you do a secure party process, you're not accessing some secret account. You are creating a private account, okay? And you're creating your own routing system. This is the reason for the registered mail and things of that nature, okay? Because when you send a document to somebody in the government through registered or certified mail, they become the holder of that document. And you got proof that they have it, okay? Notice the agent has noticed the principal. It doesn't matter what they do with it after they receive it, okay? You've addressed it to a specific individual. Okay, he has it in his possession. You have proof of that. You have the Form 3811, all right, that return receipt requested that you have. Now you have evidence that he has it in his possession. He is the holder of that instrument. Okay, you are the holder in due course because you have a claim on that instrument. You have filed a UCC3 or UCC1. You put your bond on a UCC1. When you start creating negotiable instruments, all those go on UCC3, and you check the box called collateral add. The reason it's collateral add because those instruments are your property, okay? All right. Also, you should have already claimed all the instrument numbers prior to even beginning to create any negotiable instruments. Those numbers, just like when you go to the bank, they give you a book of checks. Those numbers in that check have already been predetermined to go to you in that account. You do the same thing in your process. This is banking, okay? All right, this is all it is. You don't put routing numbers on your instruments. You're not trying to access a secret government account. Stop saying that why are they using my name? Let me talk about that real quick. I got a lot of people out there saying, well, they're using our name. Now, they're not using your study trust. If you don't know trust, shut the fuck up. If you haven't studied trust, shut the fuck up. Okay. These are assessed, when people use the word assessed K, just means beneficiary. Just means beneficiary. They say assessed K trust. Okay. It's a beneficiary. It's a trust set up for the benefit of beneficiaries. Okay. You are the beneficiary. All right. You're a beneficiary. Beneficiaries don't have liability. Beneficiaries have a pro rata right to a distribution from a particular trust. Okay. The certificate you have in your hand evidences your right to that birth certificate. You're a beneficiary. Look at all the court cases. Y'all know, okay, you go into court. Do you want to be a trustee or a beneficiary when you go into court? No, you don't want to be a trustee. You want to be the beneficiary. The trustee is the one that has all the liability and all the duty, okay? Not the beneficiary, all right? That's why you see in Judge Dale's document, he said you come into court and he said, I'm going to appoint you as the trustee and I want you to set off this matter and clear the record. And I want to receive X amount of dollars in proceeds for an injury from a distribution for the trust for my injury. Read the Judge Dale document. Okay, that's what he's talking about. Everybody want to talk about constructive trust. Okay, it's a constructive trust. A constructive trust is a trust that they create so that you don't benefit from an unlawful right to some enrichment that you receive. That's what they're doing in court. That's really what the straw man is on your particular caption of the pleading in your court case. Is like a constructive trust. And they're looking for a trustee because the trustee is the one that has the duty. Okay, but I don't want to digress. The secure party process is about you sending a bond to the Treasury Department. The Secretary of Treasury is the holder. Somebody was asking me on, the secure party. I'm in a forum on Facebook, Secure Party, where they said, well, what are they doing with the bond? And they start giving me this long, blown out explanation and everything, talking about who's the trustee. They the trustee. Read the damn verbiage on the damn bond that you sent to them. He's called a fiduciary. Trustees are fiduciaries. They have a fiduciary duty. What is so hard to understand about that? What y'all get caught up because y'all don't see the word trustee and trust. Okay, if you study trust law, you would know that a trust can be a trust whether it's called a trust or not. Just by the arrangement itself, it creates a trust. This is another reason why I'm saying that people need to study trust law, because that is a maximum of trust law that you need to understand. It don't have to be called a trust to be a trust. You don't have to be called a trustee to be a trustee. You don't have to be called a beneficiary to be a beneficiary. It is the nature of the agreement that determines whether it's a trust or not the name. Not the name. Okay? Very important point for you to understand. So when you're reading this, what you're doing is you are the holder in due course of that particular document, okay, by putting a claim on it, handing it over to the Secretary of Treasury. He becomes the holder of that document. It's been placed in trust. Another word for, if you don't want to use the word trust, let's use safekeeping. Safekeeping receipt, an SKR. How many of y'all know what a safekeeping receipt is? A bank, you go put some gold, deposit it with the bank. They give you a safekeeping receipt. You can monetize the safekeeping receipt. Okay. Your birth certificate is the gold. You're taking it to the bank, which is the Secretary of Treasury. And now you have a receipt of that and that you can go and monetize in the form of negotiable instruments. It's the same fucking thing. I'm not really understanding why people are having a problem understanding these processes. They're fairly easy, okay? Now, I'm going to be holding a Secure Party webinar on the 6th. I pushed it back to the 6th, Okay, because a lot of people were complaining. I gave short notice. Okay, I'm gonna give plenty of notice. Okay, I'm going to do the secure party process. I'm going to do negotiable instruments, and I'm going to do administrative process all in one webinar. All right, which means you're going to do your secure party process. All right, after you do that, next you're going to learn how to construct negotiable instruments, and next you're going to learn how to use those negotiable instruments with the secure party process that you just done. I'm doing a $200 pre-registration. It's going to be $450 afterwards because it's a lot of fucking work that I'm going to put in on this. All right. So I gave you a pre-registration time, okay, that you can pre-register for it. All right. And it's going to last about 3 to 4 days. But I'm going to really go in on this. I'm going to edit it. You see, I've been editing all the videos right now. Okay. This is going to be my ultimate secure party webinar I'm going to do. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to have it professionally edited. Nothing like you've seen before. Okay, but everything is going to be contained. Also, all the documents that I'm going to have are all going to be custom made. I'm not using any Tim Turner documents. I'm not using anybody else's material. All the material in it will be my creation. And I'm doing that because I want you to understand how you can create your own documents. And then what we're going to do is we're going to compare and contrast with a lot of the documents that you've seen floating around on the internet for quite some time. You really need to be writing your own documents. Okay, to tell you the truth. It's okay for you to use boilerplate documents, when you're first starting out, because boilerplate documents help you learn the process. Once you start, seeing what's going on, you're like, okay, I understand what's going on right here. But actually, yes, Mr. Six, I'll provide everything is provided. It is recorded. After you attend, you get a copy of the recording. Okay, I've been doing that for 5 years. Everybody always asks me that question. Will it be recorded? They all are recorded. I still sell webinars that I did 5 years ago on my website. I still sell webinars I did 5 years ago on my website. I mean, they are recorded, So everything gets recorded. And you will be provided a copy. I think I'm going to stop doing that, though, and make people actually come to the actual webinar. And because I see that a lot of people got misconceptions about a secure party process. And they're trying to access secret accounts and things of that nature. Okay, the first thing that you have to understand is public and private. On the private side, everything is governed by agreements, contract. Okay, that is the other reason why you do your first step in notifying the government first, because you're letting them know what your intentions are. All right, and you're seeking an agreement through a stipulation, either through tacit procreation or silence as acquiescence or whatever. But the point is that you're giving them the notice. But this is all private. Now, here's the next thing. Don't come bring me court cases of people getting in trouble where the judge is saying that people are crazy for doing these processes. Okay. The public does not recognize anything private. Public and private don't mix. The public is not going to recognize anything in the private. They're not even going to speak of anything in the private because, unlike many of you, they understand the difference between public and private, and they understand what the word private means. Most of you don't. Most of you don't. You use the word, just like I was talking about with the Christians the other day. They use the word Jesus, but they don't listen to nothing Jesus say. You've got people who use the word private, but they don't do shit private. Okay? They say, show us proof of what you was doing. It's private, man. You want me to put this all on Facebook and all this shit? It's private. I got people looking at me. Wanted to know, you going to answer this idiot? Because this fool over here don't know what private means, but Yusef, you do. It's private, okay? You got to keep privacy. It's private, all right? You contract with the government private. Everything stays in the private. They're not going to recognize it in court. It's not coming into court, and if it does, and if you press them and find a way to win, they're not going to give that as the excuse. They're going to find another loophole to let you out. They ain't going to never say, they're going to say, oh, I see right here we didn't sign this document. Okay, I guess we're going to have to drop this case. They're not going to ever say, this is the reason that you won. They give you another reason for it. Okay, so stop looking for that. It's public and private. And, it's real interesting. We learned all that when we first came in. It seems like there's not a lot of fundamental type of information being disseminated on these processes. A lot of fundamentals, just a lot of fundamentals people don't have. A lot of fundamentals. They just rush straight to the paperwork and want to start filling out paperwork and so forth. And it's like, it's not what this is about. Okay, it's not about filling out paperwork totally. Paperwork is only 50% of this. The next side is who you are and having an understanding. This is where your spiritual development comes in, because you're going to get accused of not following any laws. Okay, now these people, once again, you have to really listen to them very carefully, because they mock God a lot of times too. They claim this is really what's interesting about the United States and your public servants who are supposed to be serving you, that you vote for and send up to the government to represent you in your interests. They actually mock God when you tell them that, you're following the laws of God. They mock God. You got to see what's going on. Not to mention that a lot of your people in your government are Satanists. Okay, you got to understand that. A lot of people in law enforcement are Ku Klux Klan and Satanists and all kind of things too. I don't understand why people don't understand why, these people do have jobs. A lot of them do work in high power positions and so forth. And then they publicly come in and mock you and things. This is what you're warring up against. You have to understand that. Privacy means absence of government. If you're going to come within the United States, let's talk about this next. The United States Corporation. The United States Corporation is operating in a private jurisdiction. It's called a quasi-public corporation. You need to look that word up. Quasi-public corporation. A quasi-public corporation is a government, it has a government purpose, but it's operating in the private. Call it like a quasi-public corporation. Okay. Now, how are they operating in the private? A lot of people, they don't understand that. They say, well, they're operating illegally and unlawfully. And then I'll come and say, no, they're not. Yusef, you're a government agent. I just understand the law better than you do. That's all. That's all it is. All right. In the Constitution, under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, okay, which is the 10 mile square of the jurisdiction of the United States, they have what is called plenary power. You need to understand what that word plenary power means. Okay. What that means is that within their jurisdiction, they are God. They can do what they want to do. A lot of you people have a misconception of the Constitution as well. And you'll understand this also when you study trust law, because they're trustees. The Constitution is a trust document, and understanding the powers that are delegated to the trustees. All right. Now, within that 10 mile square, they are God. Outside that 10 mile square, they are not God. Okay. In the 10 mile, they become a demon, actually, is what they have when they come outside that 10 mile square zone. But they trick people into coming into that 10 mile square zone by using straw man. Okay. They created the straw man, gave you a social security number, and now you're considered a citizen of the United States. You're a United States citizen. United States is located in Washington, D.C. Look under Article 9 of the UCC. I believe it's 102, which says location of the debtor. I think it's 102H or something like that. And it's a location of the debtor. And it'll tell you the United States is in Washington, D.C. It'll tell you straight up. United States is in Washington, D.C. Okay. So this United States government is in Washington, D.C. All right. That jurisdiction they have plenary power over. They can operate outside the Constitution. This is how you have the Federal Reserve. Okay, they formed this corporation and started operating privately. Constitutional law is public law. It has no application in the private. I know you don't want to hear that. I know a lot of Moors and everybody else is going to tell me the Constitution is like this all-powerful document. It's not. What is all-powerful is contract. That is what's powerful. Contract. Contract makes the law. That's the power. The Constitution is just a limitation on government and a trust document basically telling what their duties are and what jurisdiction they have over certain matters. So they went outside they can create a corporation. It's well within the power of the legislature to do that. Okay. They did that. They created a corporation, but what they did was they got you to contract to come inside of that jurisdiction, and then they monopolized everything in the public, and they're using they are debtors because they owe somebody some money, okay, which is the World Bank, all the world leaders, and they placed a central bank in this country called the Federal Reserve, and everybody's using Federal Reserve script, which is debt paper, which is evidences that we're debtors. The more and more I study this, the more I see using Federal Reserve notes is probably about the worst thing that you can do. I understand back when I used to get into this, guys used to hold webinars or seminars, and you had to pay gold to get into the seminar. They wouldn't take Federal Reserve notes. Okay, but these things are what you have to understand first. The Federal Reserve is a private entity. It is not a governmental entity. Okay, the United States is indebted to the certificate holders of the Federal Reserve of that trust, because it's a trust. That's why you think they can't penetrate it. Why you think they can't audit it or anything like that? They can't audit your trust either. You put together a private trust and you learn how to maintain privacy on that, they're not going to be able to penetrate it either. Not your trust that you put together. So why do you think they got professionals who've been doing this thousands of years and everything, no trust law, hundreds of years and everything? They know what they're doing. This is what's going on, okay? So what you are doing is when you come inside of the United States, you're coming inside the United States, okay? You are looking for a contract to circulate negotiable instruments within the United States. You are a private citizen. You are a foreigner. You are a stranger coming into another jurisdiction. Y'all all say it all the time. I'm foreign to the United States. I'm without the United States. I'm not in your jurisdiction. Okay, fine. But you want to do business in my jurisdiction, then you need an agreement with me to do business over here in my jurisdiction. If you don't want to do business in my jurisdiction, then stay out. But if you want to do business within the United States, you need an agreement. The United States decides on what money gets circulated within the United States. You don't decide that. So you need an agreement with them. The reason I'm saying all this is because I'm trying to enlighten you as to the reason why you have the first step of the secure party process, that package you put together and send off to the government. Okay, it avoids all of these accusations of intent to defraud, because I watched that case. It was ridiculous. It was malicious prosecution to me. It was a malicious prosecution. That DA know that he ain't intended to defraud anybody. He sent you an instrument with a piece of paper on it. The problem was he put routing numbers on it, and that gave them their door. Let me see what. Yeah, UCC 9-307, location of the debtor. That's right. UCC 9-307, location of the debtor. You'll see it in the UCC, location of the debtor. Somebody said they missed the beginning. You ain't missed nothing. I was having technical difficulties. Let me go into the chat room right quick and see if I can get some questions and so forth from let me see what we got right here. We got any questions or anything like that? Got any questions in chat? I'm gonna take some questions now in the chat room. See what we got. I was trying to let y'all in on Blog Talk so, I can stream through them after work on it and see what I got. The picture look good, though, don't it, y'all? Well, I'll get down. My picture look good. It's clean. Nice and spiffy and everything, Y'all can see my shades. Y'all can see my glass. These glasses, these are not shades, y'all. I had my lenses tinted, and I didn't know it was going to tint that dark, I'm like, dang, I was looking at my other video, looked like I got shades on, But you see, I got some tinted lenses and everything. It's not that dark. But anyway, let's see what's going on. Mr. Not accepting cash, precious metals, and precious stones. Thanks for the info. I'm going to put you in my tax return. You're worth that and a bag of chips. All right. When do you start the administrative process? You start the administrative process after you have completed a secure party process, and when you within 70. This is when you start an administrative process. Let me give you another rule that I don't think it's spoken of enough. You're supposed to start an administrative process 72 hours after receipt of correspondence, because in 72 hours you have a binding contract. So you're always supposed to respond within that 72 hours. Okay, there's a thing called latches in equity. Okay, and equity does not support anyone who sleeps on their rights. You got to know your rights, and that's something else that's not talked about enough, in my opinion, is because that's a good question. When do you start your administrative process? The rule is within 72 hours after receipt of any correspondence or after identifying a public obligation that's been, tendered to you. What do you know about the cease and desist changing your status to non-decedent in the affidavit of life? And I sent them to multiple different agencies. Okay, Terry Cannon, let me just say this for instance. Okay, people, when I get questions like that, it's difficult to ask a question about a process somebody else made up. Okay, somebody made up the affidavit of life. I'm familiar with it. I am familiar with it, and so forth. But let me just say this. All of them follow the same principle. I can look at any process that's out there. There's only a few principles. They all have to follow. I don't damn if it's some sort of ecclesiastical deed poll. I don't care if it's nationality, secure party, whatever you're talking about. They all have to follow the same process. Giving notice, contracting, and then either some people want to argue, though. I'm not with arguing with the United States. Some people say, I'm not that person, I'm not in your jurisdiction and everything like that. I prefer to take the route of not arguing because I live in the United States. I drive up and down these streets. I go to the grocery store. I go to the mall. I do things like everybody else does, like everybody else. I'm not trying to be a belligerent or an enemy of the United States. However, I want them to understand that I'm more than competent enough to handle my own commercial affairs, because everything in the United States is about commerce. And when you start trying to bring God and nationality or what's called a political question, this is what's called a political question. The judiciary doesn't handle political questions. Article 3 doesn't deal with political questions. It's called political question doctrine. Go look it up on YouTube. Doesn't make any sense. Those are political. Let's see. I know you would know the difference. What's the difference between HJR 1 and 2 and the Golden Repeal Act? I'm not familiar with the Golden Repeal Act, so I can't answer that question. And these are acts, which acts are statutes. Look up the word act in Black's Law Dictionary. An act, it's going to say see statute. They promulgated by the legislature. I don't really care what they say. Only thing I really care about is HJR 182, that they repealed money, that they took us into a private jurisdiction as a private man, as a private person. Really, you don't care about none of the acts. None of them. I don't understand why y'all concerned about acts and y'all saying, well, they don't have jurisdiction over me. I'm foreign to the United States. You make all these statements, and then you spend a lot of time studying codes, statutes, rules, and regulations. I'm not understanding it. You'll know it if you need to get in because it applies to them, but it doesn't have any application to you. Doesn't have any application to me. I told a judge this one time. I was in Henry County on a foreclosure case. I had a white couple that were friends of mine that I was assisting with their foreclosure case. They wanted me to come in court to represent them in court in the case. And I agreed. I went and did it. Even though I knew I was probably going to have some problems. I went into court and they made us go last. And what happened was when I came up and we went past the bar and sat at the table and everything, they closed the doors to the courthouse and the chief judge came in. Because I wasn't with the chief judge. The chief judge, is a different judge. He came in and he said, you cannot do this. You can get that judge in trouble. He can go to jail, something like that. I'm not quoting him verbatim, but he was screaming, and they had a lot of other people in there, and they had sheriffs in there and all this shit. So the judge on the bench, he's frowning at me, and he said, get out of my courtroom. He asked me, are you an attorney? And I said, I'm counsel. He said, get out of my courtroom. He said, if you're not an attorney. I said, show me the law that says I have to be an attorney to get in there. He said, get out of my courtroom. I said, I ain't going nowhere. You show me the law. I went back and forth with this judge. Of course, the bailiffs started coming over to arrest me. But I was going in with this judge. We was going back and forth. So the couple They shocked. They ain't never seen nothing like this before. They looking around and seeing like, oh shit, you know, and they doing like this. So he tapped me on it. He said, please. He said, please, Mr. Jones, you ain't gotta do this. Go on out, just leave. We'll handle it. So I look down at him. I look back at the judge. And I walked to the back of the courtroom and to sit down in the back. And then he told me, he said, I don't want you in my courtroom. You get out of my courtroom. So he kicked me out. He wouldn't let me sit in the back. So he kicked me out. All right. So when I go out into the hallway, the chief judge is there. It's the chief judge. He walks out and he said, look, he said, he told me, he said, I know you're a good person. I know you don't mean any ill will. He said, however, we've been having a lot of problems with people coming into court without a license to practice law. And so I told him, I said, well, look, I've never seen a license to practice law. Can I see yours? Of course, first what he did first is just, I guess he started doing like this. And then he said, oh, come up to my office. So he came up, I went up to his office. And he had a sheriff with, he had a deputy with him, and act like I was going to do something to him or whatever. But the sheriff escorts me with the judge up to his chambers. And he takes me into his office and shows me a picture of his law degree. Now, obviously, I know that's not a license. And I just looked at it, shook my head, you know. I said, oh, okay. And left, okay. Went back downstairs to wait outside on the bench while they were inside with the proceeding. They came out, they lost, obviously. They lost. They ain't know nothing about court. They ain't never been in court a day in their life. They didn't know anything. All right, so came out. Before they came out, one of the sheriff deputies came out. And he said, the judge would like to talk to you. He wants you to come back into the court. He wants to talk to you. So I go back into the courtroom, and he said, Mr. Jones, you asked me for proof of the law that says you have to have a license to practice law in this state. And he gave me, it was official code of Georgia annotated. He started reading it. I patiently waited for him to read all the code sections. And I'm going to tell you what I told him. I said, that has absolutely nothing to do with me. All right. I said, and you know it. Now, do you think he was telling me I'm crazy or not? No, he looked at me like he was afraid. See, this is the thing about it. When you have a certain demeanor when you go in court, when you know what you're talking about and they can feel that you know what you're talking about, you're going to get different responses and different reactions than the typical person that acts like a deer caught in the headlights. Those don't have nothing to do with you, is my point. Those statutes, codes, rules, and regulations don't have shit to do with you. And at the end of the day, that's just it. You're supposed to be creating contracts. As long as your contracts don't violate public policy or infringe on the rights of the public in any kind of way, you can contract. You have the capacity to contract unlimited. Private people contract. Contract law is private law. And contract disputes are resolved in equity courts. Do we need to get more complicated than that? Do we have to go more complicated than that? I mean, that's pretty simple to me. I don't think it gets any more complicated than that. All right, what we got? Does the information apply to permanent resident alien who does have a social security number and a driver's license? Okay, young buttonfly. That's a very good question, and that question is very similar to almost asking about the residents of Washington D.C. too. Washington D.C. I read a lot of cases when you go to the law library, in particular, when you look up in Article 1 section, and you'll learn this by studying about the residents of Washington D.C. Their rights as opposed to people outside of Washington D.C. How in Washington D.C. I saw a judge tell someone that he don't have a right to be in an Article 3 court. That in Washington, D.C., they don't have a right to. So that was something that was very interesting. You have a right to be in an Article 3 court? Really? But it's the jurisdictional issue because of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. They got plenary power in that 10-mile square. So the Article 3 judiciary doesn't have any say-so over residents. Check out the word residents of Washington, D.C. And I would think the same thing applies to permanent resident aliens. Now, let me just say this. Public and private does not mix. Here's the next thing about public that you have to understand. Everything in the public is a legal fiction entity. You are a real living soul. Okay? Everything in the public has to do with commerce. Okay? What's happening is this. People are doing commerce through their straw man as if their straw man and themselves are the same person. That's really the crux of the problem. And this is why you have to be introduced to other entities. It's all about taxes in the public. They're looking for something to tax. All right. So the IRS recognizes 7 entities. You have what is called a, I got a trust. You got a corporation. You got a company. You got a partnership, an association, an individual, and an estate. These are about the 7 major entities that the IRS recognizes. All right. Now, out of those entities, the trust reigns supreme. Now, it's just like playing the Monopoly. I always like to give, the Monopoly the analogy. Okay, when you get on the board of commerce, you have to select like in Monopoly, you need a token to play the game. All right, so you open up the box and you have the race car, the money bag, the dog. I like the money bag and the race car, the horse, the wheelbarrow, the thimble. You got all of these tokens in the box, and you select one because you need a token to play the game of commerce. Well, the same thing is happening in the public. You need a token to play the game of commerce, and they give you a choice between 7 of them. Now, the individual, like a sole proprietorship, is the worst one to have in the box, okay? It's the worst token to have, and it is the token that they start all of you out with, the one that has all the liability. They give you a corporate soul that has all the liability, a sole proprietorship. You're the sole proprietor of it, and you have all the liability. Now, once you wisen up, you start moving through the tokens, well, let me get an LLC. Let me get an incorporation. We might try a general partnership or an association. And then finally, you reach the pinnacle, and you find out, damn, all these wealthy people are using trust. And they throwing around this word, own nothing, control everything. It's pretty simple to me. A lot of you make this more complicated than necessary. I think sometimes when I get questions like, well, what about me being a permanent resident alien? Or I got a social security number, or I'm a resident of Washington, D.C. My response would be, stop using the social security number. Stop doing business in that name. That simple. Do we have another question? We file bankruptcy or become a secure party. Should we file bankruptcy or become a secure party? I don't know what you are talking about as far as filing bankruptcy and secure party. You should become a secure party. I shouldn't have to file bankruptcy ever. But you may have to. In certain instances, like they're trying to repossess your car or something, but it's the straw man. It's on the straw man. And you can clean the credit up. I mean, bankruptcy is one of the easiest things to get off your credit there is. Because the credit bureaus go down there and they do public searches through the record and find that information and put it on. And if you do use the Fair Credit Reporting Act and write them a letter and say, okay, who told you to put this on my credit report? Give me the name of the person. They can't give it to you. They got to take it off. Nobody reported that. The government doesn't report that on your credit report. They do it. Let's see. Let's get, what do we got? Take an oath, Bassard. I don't know what that is. Hold on, I might miss some people. Let me go back up here real quick. I know y'all has 1,000 questions. I'm just going to pick them out. A client who, before he went to court, we filed all the paperwork. This is Stacy Calhoun. Stacy, I'm going to ask you a question. A client who, before we went to court, we filed all the paperwork, the private NDI for the taxes, and forward also to the Secretary of Transportation. However, they have continued to ignore everything. Okay, I'm not filed all the paperwork where will be my next question. Why did you send it to the Secretary of Transportation? And I don't understand what you were doing with a UCC-3. All right, when you go into court, let me tell you the purpose of filing any type of UCC-1s in court. Filing a UCC-1 in court, it should be a UCC-1 that you file in court, not a UCC-3. All right, not a 3. Okay, your UCC-1 is the document you file in court. You file a UCC-1 in court because in court they are establishing liens. Okay, it's all about liens. It's about liens. The UCC filing is to give notice that you have a priority interest in that property, that you are first in line. Okay, the next step is that it's a debt collection. And if it's a debt collection, either one or two things, there's only 3 ways to get rid of a lien. Either payment in full, jury trial, or counter affidavit. That's it. It's only 3. It's only 3 ways to get rid of a lien. All right? All right, so we can't pay for anything because there isn't any money. All right, you take it to trial, that's arguing, that's called a traverse. And a counter affidavit is a traverse. Okay? You're going against the facts. Now, if you just establish, if we're talking about credit, we're talking about secure party right now. We're not talking about nationality or challenging jurisdiction, constitutional challenges and everything. I'm specifically talking about how to use a secure party process in a court proceeding. All right, because the secure party process is talking about creditor and debtor. That's it. Okay, we're talking about creditors and debtors. We're not talking about nationality. We're not talking about none of this other shit that people like to engage in. We're talking about creditors and debtors. And if you've established that you're the creditor and you have a priority interest in the property that they are attempting to put a lien upon, you're still going to honor the court by coming in and accepting the charges. This is where acceptance for value comes in. All right, you come in and say, look, I accept the charge. Okay, because that's why they're moving against you, because you're arguing. Let me read something to y'all, man. I'm going to read this to you real quick. I'm not going to read it. It's called the Gene Keating transcript. The Gene Keating transcript. Go read that because it's long. I ain't going to read it right now. It's long. I'll do a video on it. You need to read that. Gene Keating, they're talking about all y'all people go to jail. Y'all constantly in there keep arguing with these people, challenging jurisdiction and all this stuff. You're in a commercial court. It's a commercial court. It's an Article I court. It's a legislative tribunal. Okay? They're in there. They are in there using statutes, codes, rules, and regulations against you. And fuck all you thumbs down motherfuckers. Take your ass somewhere else. You 2 people who gave me a thumbs down, fuck you. Okay? Because you don't know what the fuck you talking about. Go make another fucking video. All right? I know what I'm talking about. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Been doing this for years. I promise you on that. All right? So let me go back and let's see what we got. 72 hours. He says 72 hours. Does it include the weekend? Okay. The 72 hours, what they do is they give you 10 days, Kevin Reynolds. And what the 10 days compose of is 3 days mailing to get to you, 3 days mailing return mail, 3 days to decide what they're going to do with it, and 1 day for weekends. Because mail doesn't go on Sunday. So when you do an administrative process, so it's 72 hours. So, I don't know if it Sundays count. It's when the mail runs. So Sunday I think is eliminated. They eliminate Sunday. I've read in specific statutes where they eliminate Sunday. If he cannot tell you, then he is pushing color of law. I don't understand what that question means. You should be an attorney of fact. You should have said attorney of fact. Okay, I would accept the facts and question the offenses, right? I mean, you're not there to argue facts. You argue facts. Arguing facts is a jury trial. This is what the arguers don't understand. You arguing something that's in your mind. Okay, you think I got my affidavit, I got my facts. Hey, yo, facts. Facts can be controverted. Facts can be challenged. Facts is for fact finding. That's what jury trial and bench trials are for. It's not for you to determine what the facts are. If not when you're in court, there's a fact trier that does that, not you. So if you want to argue, you're submitting yourself to a fact trier. I understand that. Should be pretty simple to me. Let's see. Yeah, you can attend. You can attend the webinar in person or get the recording. It's on you. I know a lot of people like to attend in person because they like to ask questions, in real time and different things like that. So yeah, you could do it. Let's see what we got here. What else we got? We got. Tell you the law is pushing the color of law, creating a law that is not real, saying only lawyers can be here. Well, David Rosario, I'm going to say this. Let me talk about that. That's a good question, David Rosario. They are telling the truth. Only licensed lawyers can be there. It's not an Article 3 court. It's not an Article 3 court. It's a legislative tribunal. You got to understand separation of powers doctrine, okay? Article 1 courts under the authority of Congress, and they can decide because they have plenary power who cannot come within their courts, these legislative courts. Now, in an Article 3 court, you would be correct in an Article 3 court, but not in an Article 1 legislative tribunal that is there to adjudicate matters of contract about commercial things of a commercial nature. They're correct. I'm going to keep saying it. The government does everything correct. It's people who don't understand public and private that the problem is coming in. It's not and not understanding the Constitution, not understanding separation of powers, not understanding you see all these videos guys putting on YouTube talking about the Constitution. How many of them talk about separation of powers? How many of them you hear use the word plenary power? How many of them do you hear say talk about what is it? Public compelling interest. How many of them you've seen have drawn a chart of public and private for you like I did on Do You Understand the Private Side and show you graphically what it is? How many of them tell you that constitutional law is public law? Well, you can Google this right now and look at some law professors explain it to you on Google, on YouTube. They got videos. What we're dealing with, I'm sorry to say this, a lot of people in this movement are ignorant. A lot. And a lot of y'all following some of them too. That might seem arrogant or something, but it just is what it is, because who's going to controvert what I'm saying right now when you can go to Google and Google everything I'm saying? You can Google Constitution's public law. You can Google that. It don't apply to private. That's why when you go into a court and there's a matter to adjudicate of a contract and you try to bring up the Constitution, the judge will tell you the Constitution don't have no application here. And y'all say, that man is violating his constitutional oath. And they just look at y'all like, damn, these motherfuckers here. God damn. Keep coming in our courtroom with this bullshit. Dumb motherfuckers. That's what they thinking. And they are right. And you can give me another thumbs down. Really don't give a fuck. Because that is what it is. All right, let me see. Yeah, the contract, I don't know what that means. Arguing the Constitution in court will get you nowhere. That's right, it won't. Because they don't have no application. Do they still have Article 3 courts? Of course they have Article 3 courts. It's like asking me, do they still have a Constitution? Do they change the court at the time? You can invoke Article 3 jurisdiction. But you have to have the right status to do that. And say, how would you overcome the paper terrorist charge after filing all of the paperwork before court ever happens and gave a contract to them? Well, first of all, I'm not going to get up being a paper terrorist because I'm not trying to put a lien on judges and shit not knowing what I'm doing. You get paper terrorist charges for having improper documentation. That's where that comes from, improper documentation. People not knowing how the correct process to put a lien. Then you're trying to put a lien on a public official. When you put a lien on a public official, you're putting a lien against the United States. When you sue a public official, you're suing the United States because they are immune. The reason they are immune is because as long as they stay within the ambit of their delegated authority, they're immune. Because in other words, what they're saying for the layman, I'm just simply doing what I'm told. No different than when you go call T-Mobile and you speaking to a customer service rep and you cussing her out and then you asking for a name and she won't give it to you. She don't have to give you a name. She's doing what she's told to do. She can't bind the corporation. The person who binds the corporation is the CEO. She's doing what she's told to do. You can't charge her for nothing. All right, you ask him, and I tried under common law. You challenge the claim. I don't challenge anything. Injured party. Yeah, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about constitutional challenges and where's the injured party. Because people talk about this like I'm new to it. Let me give you the injured party people. Let me give you the rundown. We used to come in court and we used to do this. Judge would ask you, do you understand the nature of the charges that are being lodged against you? No, sir, I don't understand. What is it that you don't understand? Well, Your Honor, for the record, is this a civil or criminal matter? It's a criminal matter. Okay, thank you. Let the record reflect that the charges being brought against the defendant are criminal. Now, sir, one more question. The Constitution for the United States only grants this court 2 criminal jurisdictions. One is under the common law, and the other constitutes a condition of contract under criminal aspects of a colorable admiralty jurisdiction. Now, sir, for the record, under which 2 of these jurisdictions is this court trying this criminal action? All right, now, that question is asking him, is it Article 1 or Article 3? You're not in an Article 3 court. There isn't any injured party. We know that. There's not an injured party. I know it's not for it to be an injured party, it has to be Article 3. And as a real living soul, correct, you should only be subject to that. If you haven't hurt anyone else or their property, you're supposed to be in an Article 3 court. Okay, and then there's someone, an injured party presents, sworn under oath, okay, charges and everything that you've been injured in some way by some action or conduct from you. Okay, Article 3, understand that, got it? Clear, okay? There isn't any injured party, okay? What it is you're not in that court. You're on a commercial matter dealing with legal fiction entities, all right? And the only thing that is the issue is who is the creditor, who is the debtor, and who's going to pay the debt. That's it. Everything else is what's called off-point arguments. You got on-point argument and off-point argument. Those are legal terms. It's an off-point argument. When you come in there with that argument, start talking about, there's no injured party. I'm not that name. They know all of that, okay? And you're doing also what's called alerting the public by exposing them too. Now, I only suggest exposing them when they become dishonorable, because there are a lot of them who are dishonorable. They want to honor you and what it is that you're attempting to do. Then that's when you expose their ass. So I put them on blast, because essentially what they're saying is they don't believe that you're smart enough or knowledgeable enough to do anything to them, which most people aren't, because they haven't really studied how to put liens on judges. I'm not saying I'm against putting liens on people. Most people who are out there doing it don't know what they're doing. That's why they're getting paper terrorist charges. And back to the question, how to alleviate a paper terrorist charge, all charges are commercial. They're all commercial. Release the lien on the judge, whatever it is that you're doing the paper terrorist, put in a, I'm sorry, then tell them you accept the charges and you'll pay the debt like you do with anything. It's not different. All charges are the same. It's nothing different about what you're being charged with. Don't matter. It don't matter what you're being charged with. Yeah, somebody says GSA bonds are still relevant. A GSA bond is just a standard form. We're still dealing with everything in the public deals with bonds. It don't matter what you call it. Bond just means promise. That's all bond means, a promise. Everything in the public is dealing with bonds or negotiable instruments because there isn't any money. Bonds will always be relevant until they bring back money. Can we buy in with one another for the webinar? Yeah, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. I suggest people do that. People do that all the time. I'd be seeing people on my webinar. I'd be 5 or 6 of them in a room looking at a big screen, all of them sitting in the webinar. How am I going to stop that? I'm not trying to stop that. You do what you want to do. We submitted an NDI. What is an NDI? I thought NDI, I keep thinking non-disclosure agreement. But that's the NDA. So I'm not sure what an NDI is. All he did was to sign a contract request. I do not consent. I mean, I'm not a proponent of the I do not consent arguments either. Those are all arguments. Anything that's an argument, I try to stay away from. You discharge your mortgage, how you discharge any other debt. I'm going to show you that in the webinar. Can you just come to Houston, Texas? Dang. I do need to come to Houston. Y'all want me to come down there? How many people on there from Houston? Y'all want me to come down there and do a seminar in Houston, Texas? come down to Texas, do a seminar and everything, I wouldn't mind coming down there. Everybody always want me to come down there, but y'all don't never, find me a hotel. I need to find a hotel down there and come down there and do a seminar in Houston, Texas. I got a lot of people listening in Houston. Come and check them out. What else we got here? Can I walk out of court when I'm talking to the judge if the judge isn't honoring his oath? Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do. I've done that before. They arrested me outside in the parking lot, though. Let me see. Oh, negotiable debt instrument. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see what she's talking about. That's what the NDI is, negotiable debt instrument. Let me see. What did she say? She said, I got a paper chart. I don't understand what a negotiable debt instrument is. Isn't it just a negotiable instrument? Negotiable. I mean, I understand what negotiable debt instrument. I got you. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to go back up and see what it is. You had to repost your question again, because now that you said that, now I can understand what you were asking me. Please check out the message I left you within the comment section. I am urgently trying to reach you. Let's see what we got right here. What you left it down in the, down here in the bottom or something, Yeah, what's going on, Martin? I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm ready to use. What's up, Quentin? Yeah, Quentin, I'm going to talk about Quentin for a second. It was an IBOE. Quentin is a beast. Quentin Riley, we're going to do a webinar together. Quentin, I think he has found so much information, y'all. It is, I'm very impressed with the research that Quentin Riley is doing. And I think he has some very, very important information to present to everyone. I'm just giving him an opportunity to set up his stuff, and we're going to be doing a webinar together on some things, because he showed me some I believe some very, very powerful information, and he's had a lot of successes, and he actually got some visits from the who was it? Was the FBI? Who was that? I know he got some federal agents came and visited him, and it was a real interesting conversation. What he told me about what transpired with that. It was really interesting. Real interesting. Okay, I'll give you the entire question in the comments. Yeah, do it in the comments. If you don't claim to be a secure party, or what's the donation? Oh, well, I've got pre-registration of $200. It's going to be $450. You have up until December 31st to pre-register. After that, it's $450. And I'm doing secure party, I'm doing administrative process, and I'm doing negotiable instruments all in one webinar, because I want everybody to see how it all goes together. So I want to take you from what I'm talking about, taking you from the secure party all the way through till discharging a debt and to a court case. I'm going to take you from the whole entire process, everything. Are non-cash items, I know you know, pursuant to Regulation J, Section 210-2K. It should be a private instrument, though. It should be done in a private. Webinar is going to be, I pushed the webinar back to January 6th. So in about 3 weeks. Y'all got 3 weeks to get ready for it. 3 weeks. Pushed it back January 6th. Within the 12-17, man, y'all see, let me ask you a question. Y'all see these comments, how fast these comments are flying in the chat? Y'all want me to go back up? I got to go back up and look for a comment. I wish I could get somebody to call in and everything. Got people in Blog Talk, y'all ain't going to be able to answer any questions today in Blog Talk, y'all. It's, hold on, let me see if I can, hold on, let me see if I can get some calls. Call in on Blog Talk real quick. I was trying to get Blog Talk to log in and everything. I was having a problem with it on this. Let me try it. Let me see if I can get. Let me see. See if I can get these see if I can get the phone lines open. I'm trying to see if I can get the phone line open. Let me see if I can get the phone line open real quick. I tried it. It was like, it wasn't working. The microphone. Can't do it, y'all. I'm gonna have to work on that. Anyway, we'll work on that. Getting that. Everybody said it was a lot of static. Okay. Hold on real quick. I'm gonna do a audio test real quick. Let me see what we got here. Y'all hear that? Yeah, I heard that right quick. Y'all heard that right? Y'all heard that? That come through? Let me see. Let's see if I can get the blog talk coming through now. Hold on, let me see. For some reason the all right, hold on blog talk real quick. I'm gonna try to bring y'all in on blog talk real quick. Hold on real quick. Let me see if I can get it. Think I know what happened on the blog talk because I want to talk to y'all. You know, this because y'all killing me in the chat room right now. Every time I try to do that, it's like. Okay, all right. All right. Let's see. Did y'all hear that? I think y'all heard it. Let me see. Oh, I think I got the audio in the. Okay, let's see. Skype. Y'all take a break while I'm doing this. Go get you something to eat. I'm gonna come. I ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna get all y'all questions. Just take a break. I'm gonna try to get this. Try to get this audio. I had it set up. Automatically just microphone settings. Okay. Real tech. Okay. Oh, man. All right, so let's see if I can dial in again. All right, y'all. Let me see if that does it real quick. I think that might have it right there. Let's see. Let me see what I got in the chat room. I'm waiting on this. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Everything. Let me try this thing with this blog talk right now. Okay. I think I got the call in lines open. All right. Let's see what we got. 626-2557. Can you hear me?
How you doing, Yusef? Yes, I can.
Doing good.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. Fine. I think I got it. I think I got the problem fixed.
That's awesome. Okay, really quick. Actually, I was trying to see when I could schedule my consultation with you. I purchased a 15-minute.
We could do it the day after the show if you want to. I'm sorry. I get so many emails thrown all around, but we can do it immediately. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Nah, that's cool. Can I ask you a quick question just while I got you?
Sure.
Okay, so I've been studying for a while, and I'm ready to file my UCC-1, but when I read the application, it says not to put any pertinent information on it. And that's, I'm curious of how do we claim all of our collateral if we're not supposed to put the pertinent information on it.
Give notices to the Social Security Administration and so forth. It's like, okay, like you're referencing maybe like your Social Security number and things of that nature. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right. They redact all of that information. You could put it on there. They're going to redact it anyway. But the thing is that when you give the notices, everything comes under a security agreement. Excuse me. Which is the contract. You got to have a contract between the creditor and the debtor to do a UCC-1. That's the whole purpose of the security agreement. When you give notices to the Social Security Administration, the IRS, and all that, you let them know the deal on what's going on with your sorry about that. You're letting them know what's going on with your Social Security number and all these things. If they have any questions about it, and you're going to also send that packet off to the Treasury Department. All right, when you send a packet off to the Treasury Department, they're going to get a copy of everything. You are going to send it to them. And you can send them a copy of, there's a book out. You should really look at a book called One Man Out and look at how he did his process. All right, because they just started all that redacting of the Social Security numbers lately. But you got to understand that UCC-1 is just a notice, okay? If they want to know the contents or the specific property that's been encumbered and everything, they need to get in contact with you. That's why they have that contact information right there. You know what I'm saying? And
right. I'm aware that they started the redacting. That's why I was curious because, I understand that we're supposed to claim, our children's birth certificates and whatnot on there. So I just wanted to make sure that once I put that information on, they're actually going to accept it.
Yeah, they should, because last time I checked, when I did mine, they would go ahead and redact it if they needed to. But what you can do is just put the last 4 digits of the Social Security number on there. That's what a lot of people do, and then refer it to because when they do a UCC search, they go by the name and address of the debtor and things of that nature when they pull you up. So, so they'll be able to find it. It's all about the information that's on there in the collateral description and everything. You can reserve some of that information, but specifically, the more detailed information is going to be in the collateral list that you have and also your security agreement. But, it's like, you have to get creative sometimes. I'm a very creative person. Every time they put up a roadblock, I find a creative way to get around it. So a banker told me that. He said the UCC was put up to assist you in being creative. So learn how to be creative and, claiming your property and giving them notices. The biggest issue, I think that's not even a problem for me. The biggest issue is this, what they call straw man filings, by you getting your all caps name and your Christian appellation of your name. That's the biggest impediment that people are running into in filing all this stuff, and finding creative ways to circumvent that. That's the issue, not really what you put, on your collateral description of your UCC-1.
All right. Just one more quick question, if I may.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So, when I get ready to file my UCC-1, do I have to already have my 98s, my 45s, and all that claimed, or can I put that on afterwards in a 3? Because in the package, that first section, that's not in the first section. It's like later in the section where you do it.
Well, preferably you want to already have established like a trust for yourself and done everything prior to filing the UCC-1. So ideally, you should already have your 98 number and both your 45s, your state number, your corp number, and your trust number, because that information is going to go on your UCC-1. However, it's not written in stone. You can do it later. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can do an addendum and put it on there. That's what a collateral add. There is no type of nothing that can't be cured, or no problem that can't be fixed, so, but ideally, in the spirit of your question, the correct way is, yes, you want those numbers prior to doing that. Okay. Is it still possible to link up with you after the show? Oh, yeah. You got you, man. Yeah. Afterwards. No problem. You got that, okay?
All right, beautiful. Okay, I won't hog the line. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. I look forward to your call later.
All right, no problem, bro. Okay, let me make an announcement real quick. Did y'all hear that? Could y'all on YouTube hear that real quick? I'm trying to look in the chat and see if they heard our conversation. Somebody said, what's the phone number? Oh, the phone number to call in, y'all, is 563-999-3625. Let me put this in the chat for everybody. This is a call-in number right here, 563. One man out. His name is Aaron Coates. That's the name of the author of the book. Somebody want to call in? Somebody, nothing impossible. You want to call in right now? And okay, everybody heard me. Y'all ladies, Stacy, all y'all need to call in. Hit 1 on the phone and tell me your area code. Type your area code in the chat and just dial the number, and I'll open up your line. Because I can't hear you. You dial in. You dial 563-999-3625. Then you hit 1. And then I'll see your hand up. Okay, 202 area code. This is in D.C. 202-5818. You on the line. What's on your mind?
What's up? This is OP.
Who's this?
OP. I be in the comment section all the time.
What's up, man? What's going on, Mo P? I know exactly who you are, man. What's happening, bro? What you doing? What you got?
Ain't nothing, man. I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? I got hip to you like in the summertime. You know what I'm saying? From a Moore, so all this stuff kind of new to me. But I was wondering, like, I know you said you giving a webinar, but could you just give like a little prelude to the basis of being a secure party creditor and discharging debt for somebody who don't know nothing?
Yeah. Okay, that's good question. Okay, let's see. Well, to understand what is going on, I think an important part, and I think what I'll do and how I'll do it is tell my story. Okay, as a person who knew nothing about this and how I came into it and everything. It was introduced to me by some Moors as well, 2 good friends of mine who were Moors. And, they were telling me all this stuff. There isn't any money. They throwing around all these words. And, and it was foreign to me at first. And then I got in trouble. I actually got a court case. When I got the court case, the attorney, when he came to visit me, he was telling me, I wanted to get a bond. That's what it was. So I need to get a bond. He looked at me and he said, they do things differently in this county. I was like, what? I said, what you mean they do things differently in this county? I'm talking about, what about the Constitution? The Constitution says I have a right to have a bond. Somebody calling me and everything. Turn off this phone. I have a right to have a bond. Okay, so after I left that attorney, I went back to my cell, went back down, and I called my boy. He had given me some paperwork to study. He had given me creditors and their bonds. He had given me law redemption in court. I think cracking the code, a whole bunch. He gave me a whole bunch of mortgage documents too that were real good, by the way. And as a matter of fact, I found one of them on the internet, and I think I put it on my website. It's a real good mortgage document. That's a mortgage they put out. But I told him, I said, send me that information. So the first thing I ever read on any of this was a document called Creditors and Their Bonds. All right, and it taught me how to do an administrative process, and also taught me what was really going on in the court. Okay, what's really going on in the court, and how the attorney uses you to lead you into dishonor. Now, how can I verify all this? I'm gonna give you my story of what made me really get into this. In Creditors and the Bonds, it was saying something like to the effect, like when you plead not guilty, you grant jurisdiction, or when you put in what is called waiving arraignment. This is the term that you're going to hear a lot of attorneys use, waiving arraignment. Waiving arraignment is just a not guilty plea, is what it is. And I started noticing, I started checking the docket, and I formed a real close relationship with the clerk. The clerk at the time I had my case. I was writing her every 2 weeks, and she was sending me documents. As a matter of fact, when I got out of jail, I went and visited her and brought her some flowers and thanked her personally for all the help that she had given me. This ain't the main clerk. It's one like the assistant clerks. But she was the one assigned to my case, and I was in jail, and I would write her every 2 weeks, asking her for docket sheets, what's been filed on my case and everything, because I'm in jail. But I did it every 2 weeks. Every 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. I kept abreast of what was going on with my case. And I started noticing filings that they were putting into the case. I started noticing that the attorney, as soon as he filed a notice of entry of appearance, he filed right behind, because they time stamp everything too. And he filed right behind that a waiver of arraignment, even after I told him. And he also wrote me a letter when I gave him I sent him what is called a lot of people call it a letter of rogatory. I just call it an attorney instruction letter because people want to say letter of rogatory, what it means. It really doesn't matter what it means. It's instructions to him, to your public defender, on what you want him to do. And he wrote me back complimenting me on knowing the information. And that was it for me after he did that. He said, how did you learn this? And then later on, he flipped up on me, but he wrote me a letter saying, I had the letter. I'm not lying. I had the letter for like years. And I think I misplaced it, but he had a letter. I kept that letter for years and everything. He wrote me thanking me for the information. Well, not thanking me, but, praising me for knowing the information. But anyway, after that, I started learning how to, I started paying attention to going in court at this point. And the first time I went into court, it was about, it was my arraignment. We have an arraignment. I hadn't been arraigned yet. And, it's basically where you plead guilty, not guilty, or whatever. And at this point, back then, everybody was saying, don't say the name. That's not your name. They was using that argument. And when the judge tried to, in a surreptitious way, I wrote the judge a notice. I wrote everybody. I wrote the DA, my attorney, the judges, everybody. I sent them these letters, these generic letters that they have in Creditors and their Bonds, to let them know how I was coming into court. I didn't understand everything I was doing at this point, mind you, but I was simply following the instructions of what I was told to do. So I sent the letters and everything. So when I come into court, the first time I come into court, I kind of felt that something was different. I felt that they were nervous. You know how you can just feel something? Sometimes you just feel they were nervous. So they brought me in chains. I'm in a blue jumpsuit, not orange, blue. I'm in a blue jumpsuit. They come in, set me down. And prior to me going in there, my homeboy, I talked to him on the phone, and he told me, he said, if you go into court and the court is empty, they respect you. If you go into court and the court is full, they don't respect you. So I walk into the courtroom, and the courtroom is fucking packed. It's packed. It's so packed. There's people standing up in the back, in the back, and everything. It's like they were doing it's like the judge was doing like something like traffic tickets, but then brought me in on the traffic tickets. You know, they'd be in there doing traffic tickets. This is how packed. The courtroom is packed. And as a matter of fact, so I'm sitting at the table. You know, I'm chained up. I'm sitting at the table, and I'm kind of looking around. You know, I'm just kind of looking back. You know, just doing this right here. Just kind of looking around and everything. And then the judge said, and she's talking to the DA, and she's asking the DA why they hadn't indicted me yet. A lot of questions. There was a female DA. My attorney was standing. He was standing up, waiting for his turn to talk. I'm sitting down. But while they talking, I'm just kind of looking back. And all of a sudden, I heard the judge say, "Isn't that right, Mr. Jones?" And I looked at her like this right here. And when I did that, I'd been studying, I think, at this point about three months. And I've been memorizing what I was going to say. They were calling me crazy because I walk around the cell memorizing what I needed to say in court. And I was scared. I'd never done it before. I'm like, man, did any of this shit work? I'm scared. So I kind of looked at her, and the next thing I know, she smirked at me. She kind of gave me this. She said, she kind of did this. She kind of looked at me kind of like, just smirked at me because she saw I was scared. And when she smirked at me, that's when I got some balls from somewhere. I said, kind of looked at her and said, "I'm the holder in due course. Here's the third-party intervener making a special appearance as an authorized representative for the defendant. I accept for value, return for value all the charging instruments in this matter, and make my exemption as principal available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts contained in the charging instrument. Please use my exemption for offset and adjustment of the public charges against the defendant and release the order of the court to me immediately." And while I'm doing this, she's taking off her glasses. And then I didn't understand the instructions. So after I said all of that, I said, "May I have your name, please?" I asked her for a name. After I said all that, then I said, "And may I have your name, please?" And she said, "Judge so-and-so." I forgot her name. Judge so-and-so. And she said, and then I said, "Your offer of communication is accepted for value and your dishonor is returned. Would you please state your name and not your title?" Because when they say judge, when they put judge in front of it, that is a title. That's not a name. When you look at their oath of office, there is no title on an oath of office. It's their name. If you've ever looked at an oath of office. So she said, she turned, and there's a video of somebody that's happening this on YouTube too. She grabs the nameplate and says, "Here's my name right here. Here's my name." And then I said, "Well, is that the same name that's registered with the Secretary of State?" And then she got pissed. She said, she started hitting. She said, "No, it's not registered." She said, "I'm not a corporation." And she said, "You're not here to ask the questions. I asked the questions. And I want to know what your name is." But she had never asked me my name before that. All she had said was, "Isn't that right, Mr. Jones?" See, this is how y'all have to learn. Because if I would have answered to that, that on the record would show that I've agreed that that's my name. You can't answer none of their questions because you grant jurisdiction. So she just came out and just fully asked me what my name is. "Tell me your name. State your name for the record." And when she said that, that's when I got relaxed because the gig was up. I said, "Oh, you trying to get my name? You trying to get me the answer to this name?" And I kind of smiled at her and I said, "I'm the holder in due course." She said, "Get him out of my courtroom." Bailiffs came over, grabbed me, twisted their arm behind my back. You know, they took me out in front of everybody. They didn't even put me back in the cell. They took my arm behind my back, took me straight to the damn bus, and took me back over to the county jail. They didn't put me back in the holding cell. They so pissed. I thought they were going to take me somewhere and beat the shit out of me. And then when I got back to the cell, they had me like in a nice, comfortable cell. They put me in the worst part of the cell. They even changed my cell and everything. Put me in the worst part of the cell, did all kind of shit. All because of what went on in the courtroom. All right, so attorney, they pissed off. Now, I'm telling you this story to say, because you're talking about a new person. And I'm kind of trying to paint a picture for you of when I was a new person. I wasn't sure any of this was working, how there were points where I was afraid, what happened my first time out. and so forth. And I'm in now, granted, I'm in jail while this is going. I'm not free filing paperwork and everything, but I'm reading every day inside and out. I'm checking the dockets. I'm looking at paperwork. This is what the average new person doesn't do, especially the skeptic. They're not really looking at docket sheets and paying attention to filings. They're not looking at definition of words. Like, for instance, you have in the law dictionary, you have a word called the statute merchant. And in the statute merchant, in the second sense, it's called the commercial bond so established. I started seeing where they were putting commercial bonds in criminal cases. You know, these are things I saw with my own eyes. Now I have to bring it. Now, what happens is this, is when they find out that you find out stuff, they start hiding it from you. They start hiding it, especially when they see it on these YouTube videos and things like that. So it gets difficult to prove something that somebody's hiding something. But as far as the secure party process, what I found out is I read a here in Georgia, OCGA 1711-1 and OCGA 1711-4. OCGA stands for the Official Code of Georgia Annotated. Because I started searching their statutes looking for evidence of any of this in the statutes, because I was a jailhouse lawyer. I'm helping a lot of people with their case. So I'm in the law library all the time. Somebody's asked me, hey, you know, I got possession with the intent to distribute. I got a violation of TPO. I'm looking at, I got aggravated assaulting. I'm about to do 5 years in jail. You know, so child support. You know, I'm in the law library researching all this stuff for guys. So that made me very adept at statutes and things like that too, in addition to learning all of this stuff. So I'm down there in the law library, I'm looking at the statutes, and I came across OCGA 1711-1. Title 17 is the criminal code, the criminal title in Georgia, Title 17. So I'm looking at it, and I came across OCGA 1711-1, where it talks about the cost, and I had to research the word cost. There's a cost, C-O-S-T, and a cost, C-O-S-T-S, two different words. All right. So this C-O-S-T-S, I started researching it, and I found out in going to the law library that they put a lien on you. It is a lien. And if the prosecutor loses, he's the one that's liable. And that is exactly what creditors, this is why I pump up creditors and bonds so much. Because creditors and bonds, the only thing that gave me a transparent view of what actually goes on. And that is exactly what goes on. They put a lien on you. When you get, well, a charge is a lien. You look up the definition of the word charge. I believe it's either the fourth or fifth sense of the word in the Black's Law Dictionary. You're going to see it's a lien. It's a lien. And these senses of the words, you have to learn what jurisdiction you're operating under to understand the proper sense of the word to apply. If you're in a commercial jurisdiction, commercial terms are going to apply. All right. So all of that. Now, when we're talking about the secured party, to get to your question, I had to establish first that, yes, what they're doing is they're putting liens against individuals. It took me a little time to understand that liens is being done everywhere, because that's how you create value. If I'm going to have a negotiable instrument in my hand that's going to have some value, I got to have some collateral backing it. So say like I get your car, you owe me money, and I go put a lien on your car. Now I got the evidence of that lien. I can go write a negotiable instrument that references that lien and transfer the interest in that lien over to the individual. That's what's going on. That's what you're doing with the secure party process. When you do a UCC3, you're transferring interest in the collateral, which is being held by the Secretary of Treasury, to a prospective creditor. So the first thing in understanding why you would need to do a process like this is understanding the nature of the commercial system, that it deals heavily with liens. It's dealing with liens. That's the only reason you would need to do a secure party process, to be first in line, first in time, to have a priority interest in property. Because now we're talking about liens. We're talking about liens. Okay? And then I had to learn the 10 commercial maxims. I would strongly suggest people learn that. And so when I established that, that is what made me start doing the process. Because the secure party process is a process that establishes you as having a priority interest in property. All of your property, because there are vultures out there, and all these vultures are out there. It's called asset protection. If you really want to, use a simple term, it's asset protection is what it is. You're protecting your ass. All right. And what you're doing is you're protecting all of your estate from the encroachment of these predators, because that's all they are, predators. The United States is bankrupt. They don't have any money. So the only way they can get money is by having liens. And they do that by having charges, commercial system. You got to understand, there's no money, y'all. Think about it. There's no money. The only way to establish value in commercial instruments, you got to have collateral backing it. And so if they're issuing instruments, if you're not going to willingly give yourself to the United States, they're going to trick you or force you into doing it. And that's where you see traffic tickets, criminal charges, all this stuff that you're going through, and everything is because of the national debt. Everything that's happening right now is because of the national debt, which is a fictitious debt, which is a debt that due to the irresponsible conduct of your public servants in Washington, D.C., that we have something called the Federal Reserve, and through a process called novation. A novation is when the original creditor accepts another debtor in place of the original debtor. A, the creditors would be the World Bank or the bankers, the world bankers. B would be the United States, and C would be the citizens. Okay, what the United States did is they did a process of novation. They are the ones that were indebted to these creditors. They created all these straw men and inveigled you into accepting it through offering you benefits and privileges. Come in and be these straw men for us. Here are the benefits he'll give you. In exchange for that, we're going to tax you to death, put you in jail, take your kids, register all your property, do all of this right here. And this goes back to 1933 with House Joint Resolution 192, June 5th, 1933, Public Law 73-10, the New Deal, all right, with Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He gave you the New Deal. What's the deal? Here's the deal. Work for us and we'll give you. It's the story of, you got to understand, these are Jews. It's the story of Jacob and Esau. What, Esau gave away his birthright for a bowl of porridge? You gave away your birthright for a bowl of porridge, for benefits and privileges of the United States, and you're still doing it to this very day. So what necessitates needing to do a secure party process is the fact that in commerce, everything is predicated on having an interest in property, which is evidenced by having a lien. And you are doing a secure party process because you want a priority interest and protect your property. This is the reason you see the bond amounts are so high. You're establishing, okay, you're putting a lien against your property. Okay, let me give you an example of it. This is something you do in real life. This don't have nothing to do with a secure party. Let's say you have a house and it's free and clear. You got a $200,000 house. It's free and clear. You owe no money on it. And it's in your name. It's in your name. Okay? Now, I come over your house and trip and fall and have a very bad back injury. And my medical bills equal $217,000. And I sue you because I feel like you were, you did something incompetent when I came over your house and you weren't looking out for my safety. So now I'm suing you. And I go to court and I win. Now I'm going to get my attorney. He's going to do some skip tracing on you to see what type of assets that you have. And lo and behold, I found out that you have a house. And he does some further investigation, and we find out that not only do you have a house, but it's free and clear. There's $200,000 worth of equity in that house. So I put a lien against it. Same thing they're doing with y'all. They put a lien against your check when you owe child support. What do you think a garnishment is? It's a lien. Same thing that happens when a doctor, if you have an accident, okay, and you win a judgment, okay, before you get your money, the attorney is going to clean all liens because the doctor is going to put a lien against that judgment. Make sure he gets paid first. Liens, all right? So they put a lien on it. All right, now I got a lien on your property. Now, what would stop that from happening? Let's give a different scenario. Same thing, come over your house, trip and fall, but you are educated, you're an astute businessman, you understand how to conduct your business affairs, and you put your house in a trust. Or, okay, let's say this. Let's not even say you put the house in a trust. Let's say you form a trust, and then you have the trust put a lien against your house for $200,000. And now you start paying rent to the trust every month. Trust that you own, by the way. Okay. Now, when I skip trace it, and I see that your house will say, oh, this house already got a lien against it for $200,000. It's fully encumbered. We're not going to get anything from that. Let's look for something else. Anybody out there understands what I'm talking about? Any legal?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You see what I'm saying? All right. It's the same thing with a bank. When a bank, you buy a mortgage, the mortgage is going to do a title search first. They're going to and then you're going to get title insurance. They're going to make sure that there aren't any liens against this property before they give you a loan on it. Okay. And then if you go get a second mortgage, okay, that second mortgage is junior to the first. This is why when you have a foreclosure, all right, the foreclosure can wipe out all junior liens. This is the reason in real estate investing you have something called short sales, especially the ones that have, two mortgages on it, because you can go into who is that you go to? They do a BPO on it. Risk, what is it? I don't want to say risk management. I forgot the name of at the bank. You go to the bank and then you can talk to them and you can negotiate with them and see if they want to reduce the principal on the second mortgage and to see if you can come in and buy it out, because if they don't, they're going to come in and do a BPO opinion, a broker price opinion on it. He's going to come, he's going to do, an assessment on it, see how much it's worth and see whether or not they want to do that. And they may or may not do it, but they may look at it and say, hey, look, the first lien holder, he's going to get everything. We're not going to get nothing. We better take this $1,000 because at least we'll get something out of the deal instead of nothing. Because that foreclosure, that first lien holder is going to knock out all subsequent liens. Well, it's the same thing with your property. You're putting a lien on your property. You're the first lien holder. You wipe out all subsequent liens. However, there is a contract that you have. In your security agreement, you have agreed to pay all of the straw man's bills. This is how you get the United States to contract with you. This is what is called staying in honor. This is why you don't argue. Because in your security agreement, it is spelled out that any type of public charges that will be incurred by your straw man, you agree to satisfy. This is where acceptance for value came from. You're accepting the charges, you're agreeing to pay it. Now, here's the problem that we're going to have to get to. They're not honoring none of that, Yusef. I understand that. Would you honor it? Would you admit to it? Would you admit to having everybody in slavery? Would you admit to that?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Especially with these white people. White people don't play that shit. See, black people, if it was just black people, they could come out and say it. They're not going to say that shit to white people because white people will shoot their ass and they understand it. Black people ain't going to do that shit. But white people, you're a fucking traitor. Let's take Capitol Hill and hang these That will happen. If they got some sort of confirmation, okay, American white people, that they have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, lied to, used, which they already do know it, but they just don't know it on the whole. You still got these people out there, the only people that realize what's going on are the people who have problems right now. Nobody finds out about this until you get a criminal charge. You're going into foreclosure. Somebody's trying to take your children. Those are the only people who know. The rest of the general public, people who never get in trouble, people who are wealthy, people that they don't know none of this. They don't care about it. And if you tell them, you're going to be looked at as a nut job. And see, you constitute the minority. The people who never have problems with the government constitute the majority. This is what we're dealing with. This is why people don't know. This is why I do shows like this that you should be sharing with any and everybody that you know. This is why I do shows like this, to spread awareness. The secure party price is very nominal fee. I'm charging $200. When I came in, it was $10,000. I thought that was ridiculous. I think $200 for my time, for you to sit, learn how to fill out paperwork and everything, learn how to really do a process that you see that is being pushed all over the internet and so forth. And I'm giving you, for $200, I'm giving you 4 days of my time. So we can sit and go through all of this paperwork and learn how to do this process. That's what it's all about. It's a nominal fee, but it's the knowledge that you're going to gain. And then with that knowledge, you can go and do your own investigation, because I'm not asking anybody to believe me, because I didn't believe anybody. I did my own investigation. I'm telling you where to look. I come on the air, I tell y'all where to look. I'll tell you what to do. You don't have to believe me. But if you ever push this, because a lot of people, see, like the lady that was asking me earlier, Stacey Calhoun, she said we put in paperwork and they ignored it. You're not ready for this. You think you're going to put in paperwork and they're going to acknowledge it the first time out? They're going to try you to see what you know, to see can you handle yourself in court. Y'all in court. It should have never gotten to court, first of all. All right, number one. And number two, because 4 rules is stay out of court. Stay out the courts. They commercial courts. Y'all go in there arguing jurisdiction and all that. That's like, okay, they like, okay, we don't want to hear that. You know, it's like, we in a commercial venue. You got a social security number. We verified everything before you came into the court. We pulled your social security number. We fingerprinted you. We did everything before you came into the court to verify that you are a U.S. citizen. Now you're sitting here coming and talking about you're not a U.S. citizen, but I got your social security number. I'm sitting up here. I got a whole dossier on you. Your entire life, you've been taking benefits and privileges from the United States. And there is a law that says he who takes a benefit cannot deny the corresponding liability that is associated with the benefit. It is what it is. So I understand that was a great question. I hope I answered the question for you. They just gave a synopsis of it. It's about liens. It's about commerce. That is what the secure party process is all about. It's about business. A lot of people push nationality, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Nationality is a political question. It's not a commercial question. It's political. It does have some basis. And I see some of the arguments, and I actually like some of the arguments that are given by some of the Moors and so forth. But I just ain't really seen enough evidence to convince me that claiming nationality has a direct impact on commerce. I only really feel like it's going to have a direct impact on commerce when we get on land, we get on communities, we start doing things like the Jews do. I mean, I don't understand why people say all these things. Look at what other people are doing. Jews have their own community. It's not about being individuals either. That's another problem with these processes. When I first learned this, the guy who told me, he said there are communities of people who know this information. He didn't say individuals, communities. They live in the same community. It's a community of individuals doing it. It's not no one person by himself, and then it's communities. It is what it is. Anyway, thank you for your call, brother. I got another call to take in, but hope that helps you out, okay? And keep posting them.
Thank you, bro.
Keep posting them comments, brother. Good comments. Glad to see that you're very interested in this.
Thank you.
Hope that helps. All right, let me go back to the phone lines.
Yeah, it did. Thank you, bro.
All right, phone line. Boy, y'all just lit up the phone line. God dang, y'all lit up the phone line. Everybody, everywhere. Let me see what's going on right here. Let's see what we got. 651-1479. You're on the line. What's on your mind? You're on High Frequency Radio. (651) Okay, you know.
Yusef.
Yeah, got you.
I came on.
Yeah, you on. What's happening? I'm sorry?
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm having a problem with his mic. I'm going to have to get back to him, y'all. Let me go to 347-6569.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What's going on?
Wonderful. This is Nothing's Impossible 77.
Oh, okay. How you doing? Yeah, got you in here. Now, ain't this better?
That's right.
Ain't this better? This is a lot better, ain't it?
Absolutely. Because you said there's no problem that can't be solved, and this is true.
Yeah, there's no problem can't be solved.
So, there's a person that we are both acquainted with, which I will not call their name because I am a woman of valor and honor and not willing to drag someone over your live show where I can,
Yeah, don't do that.
with all valid,
I know, but
with
don't
all
do that.
validity.
No, don't do that. You know,
I won't.
I'm not into that. You know, so
I won't.
Yeah, so okay, but I understand.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I won't.
Okay.
But I will give you some details that will give you a little bit of an understanding and hope that you would connect with me after your show.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
All right.
I met this person because of you, because I follow you religiously, even though I don't usually participate verbally. I'm a, behind the scenes listener. I love to listen, take notes, copious notes, so I'm not really able to interact with all the comments.
Right.
So I met this person through you and reached out to the person, was able to get through to the person, and have been in communication for quite some time. Based on, I'm not blaming you, but I'm just kind of give you a little hit in the head because, I'm going to tell you when we speak personally.
Okay.
Because you. Okay.
All right.
So
I'll take that.
we went on further to, just to, be in communication, and I found it to be an extreme blessing. So I trusted the person and forwarded my money to the person,
Right.
and they totally robbed and scammed me. You'll be shocked, and we're going to talk.
Okay.
And so why I'm reaching out to you is because I do believe, because you can't know people, only God knows the heart, but I believe this person respects you. And I would, based on, showing you, screenshots and proving to you my point,
Right.
to show you that I am 100% being honest and ask for your intervention. So with that being said, how can we connect?
Just let me see. I got your phone number right here. Hold on. I got your number. Let me write it down.
Okay. You got the last 4 digits of it?
Yeah, hold on. I got the entire number. Hold on.
Okay.
Put it on.
No, I'm saying, give me the last 4 digits. I'm going to see if that's the number I want.
Yeah, the number.
6565.
Let me see. It is 6569.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Please contact me.
All right, I'll give you a call. I got your number.
Okay, keep doing the work that you're doing. You are amazing, except for the fact that you got me scammed, but I still love you to death. Peace. Okay?
All right, okay.
Okay, my brother. Okay, my brother.
All right, you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
When you going to call me?
I'll call you the day after the show. I'm going to do straight up consultations after this, okay? So I got people to call and everything.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, cool.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
And I got my man up here, too. All right. What we got next? Let's see. I think we just did 651-1479. You having issues. Let me go to 240-9230.
Yusef.
Hey, what's happening?
Hello? What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Doing all right, brother. What's going on?
Hey, I'm so glad to be able to speak with you this afternoon. Pretty much, to be honest, being in your presence and getting the insight from brothers such as yourself and sisters and everybody that's trying to live better and do better just with their own eyes and looking beyond just what's on the surface. You're helping people dig into the realness that's going on in this world. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, thank you. I appreciate
but
you.
Listen,
appreciate you.
Thank you. But I was calling just to say that I'm actually going through the secure party creditor process.
Mm-hmm.
I actually reached out to a brother that's on one of the YouTubes, and he's actually helping me out. But from this process that it's I'm taking this stance as just like how you stated in your process in your story earlier. You didn't know, and you really didn't have any people to help you out, but you kind of worked that out on your own.
Yeah.
And so I consider myself being placed in the middle of the jungle, and now I'm trying to figure out how do I get to figure out what I need to do to survive out here. You understand?
Right,
by myself.
Right.
Nothing else. You know.
Right.
So, but with you being now, I'm at a fork in the road, and I consider you like a directional point lead or something like that to help me go. So I wanted to ask you a question. The secure party creditor, the TDA authorization form, and my power of attorney, those are needed for the medallion signature guarantee stamp, right?
Okay.
Now, the issue I'm having with
open up a TDA account, no. I mean, but, okay, see, like the TDA account is not really part of a secure party process, though. You know that, right?
Right, but this is the authorization form that I'm sending to the Treasury.
Okay.
I have to get that signed. It's basically the notarized. I need this notarized to get authorization that the securities are current, and if not any fraudulent claims or anything being brought against it. Against my straw man.
But I understand that, but it's like, what security are you talking about? What security?
Just the birth certificate bond. Because my value, believe it or not, my value has been of my bond is $100 million. I was been on the chat line posting it all over and over.
So you have a
the issue I'm having is
you have a CUSIP number, I guess. Is that what it is, or what you found the CUSIP number?
Yeah, I have everything pertaining to it, but the issue that I'm just having is it's hard for me. I can't obtain the medallion signature guarantee stamp from a banking financial institution because their value is only let's say one in particular of mine, their value is only at $500,000.
That's right.
My bond is valued at $100 million.
Yeah, different financial institutions have different medallion stamps at different values. Why don't you? But see, this is what I'm talking about. Why don't you put the birth certificate in safekeeping and then issue instruments in increments or in denominations of what they have, and you can have those medallion stamps. So let me tell you how this works.
Because this is my thing, and I'm fine with that. But I actually am I'm challenging the banking financial institutions themselves. I'm speaking to managers and trying to get a real understanding about it. And my question is, just like how you stated, if you can do it in increments, they're telling me that the value is what it is. But if you can do it in increments, that's still the value itself is increasing. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Even if it is 500,000, if I can get $1 million doing it twice, that means the value of it is kind of it's valuable more than just that 500,000 per se.
Listen to me and see if you understand how I'm putting it. Okay, now first of all, you got $100 million. What are you trying to do with $100 million? You trying to put it on a trading platform? You trying to do something like that? You trying to monetize it?
No, literally. Like I said, I reached out to a brother on YouTube, and he got me through the secure party creditor process.
Right.
Like I have my security agreement, my trust documentation, everything ready to go.
Okay.
I'm ready. This is the security bond. I have my accepted for value stamp on my birth certificates, everything ready to go. I have my documentations ready for the Secretary of Treasury. I already filed UCC in New York for my region, which is in Maryland.
Right.
And I also filed UCC in my state.
Right.
So my state treasurer is notice for me, but to notify the Treasury in Puerto Rico, I have to for the power of attorney on the paperwork is need the medallion signature guarantee. And again, my bond value is at $100 million.
Okay, but you don't need no. Okay, this is what I'm not understanding about y'all's processes. Okay, the value is whatever you say it is, because when you're on the private side, the value of your bond of your birth certificate is whatever you say it is, because a workman is worthy of his hire. Because nobody can tell you how much your labor is worth. Okay, your labor is worth whatever you want it to be. All right, that's the staple, and everybody in business knows that. I can charge whatever I want for my service.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right, so that's the principle of that. Okay, so now when you hand this over to the Secretary of Treasury, okay, he he's either going to accept it or he's not going to accept it. Okay. Now, this is what the United States is doing. The United States has evaluated everybody's labor in America. They say estimated around $680,000 to $1.2 million. That's what the average working person is going to make in their lifetime. Probably about $1.2 million or something like that. The average person works a regular job, 9 to 5, and so forth. And this is why you have a minimum wage also, all right? Because they can establish, by having a minimum wage, we can establish a minimum value for everybody's labor in the United States. That should be common sense. Now, what you're attempting to do is you're trying to open up a TDA account. Am I correct?
No. Basically, believe it or not, I looked at the YouTube, your live showing, and it shows like literally the private bond that picture. Like that's exactly how my process itself is. I'm not trying to do. I'm basically accepting for value, just like how you were stating. Right. Like anything that comes my way, I'm like, okay, well, you have my account information. Just take it out of my account, and I just like you say, I have no need to go on the court anymore. I'm just trying to get access to my account without
see, you wasn't listening to the show when I first started. You with the secure
party process, I did, sir.
Yeah, the secure party process is not an account. Okay, you don't have an account. Let me go back to the beginning. When you do this bond, okay, you got this bond, and then I hope y'all saw my bond on my Facebook page. Go on my Facebook page, Yusef, and look at that bond I put together. I want everybody to do that right now. All right, they got a bond on there. Let me see if I can put it in. Let me see if I can put it on the screen for y'all. Hold on for a second. Let me see if I can put it on the screen. Do a screen share.
All right. And Mr. Yusef, you gotta excuse me too. I try to make stuff simple so I can understand by counting their accounts. You know what I mean? Because I try. If to me, I'm like this: 1 + 1 has to equal 2 every single time. Like if it doesn't, it's something going on.
Yeah,
so I try to make it simple so I can understand it a little bit better.
You understand it. Let's see. Select window. Let me see audio. I don't need no audio settings. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can pull this this up on my Facebook page. Yeah, that's it right there. Let me see. Is that it? Put, I want to show everybody this. Facebook.
Now, why are you looking that up? Now, so basically, this is the takeaway I'm getting from what you just stated to me. Now, again, you can't tell me what I'm worth. Then this is the issue I'm having, to have somebody to have a power of attorney for the bank account.
The problem I'm seeing with what you're saying, what you are saying, is that you're trying to get access to some sort of account, and that's the problem right there that I'm seeing. It's like everybody's thinking, well, I got this account, and I'm trying to get access to it, and it's like, nah, you're not trying to get access to an account. There isn't an account per se that you're going to get access to. You're creating the Secretary of Treasury. He is the holder of a bond. He's the holder of a bond for you. What the hell? Somebody sent me. Send me. Johnny Wright, you wrong for sending me that, boy. You see I'm on the damn air. What if that would have ended up on the screen? Somebody sent me some shit and like, boy, he's crazy. Look at the screen.
Now, can I ask you this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Yusef? Now, again, I just make it simple. Now, I consider it. I just consider it account. I know you say it's not account, but I say account in retrospect to, just like how you stated before. When instead of us going into court for all this stuff, now that you have access, and these people are notified and they actually know what you're talking about now. Again, the TDA account or the bond value or that basically those are the set off. Those are setting off the debts that or the liens that are placed against you. That's what I'm talking about. That's the only thing I'm not. I don't want it. I don't want it for anything. I know that doesn't hold value from a monetary side that I can go to the store and get stuff.
You throwing me off when you say TDA and all of this kind of stuff, because the thing is
My
there
apologies.
is no TDA account, Treasury Direct Access. What it is that when you put together that bond and you send it registered mail to the Secretary of Treasury, he becomes a holder of it.
Right.
The routing number, okay, you got to understand what a routing number does. A routing number helps the bank locate accounts. Okay. How you
Right.
help them in the public locate the account is through your registered mail number. Your registered mail number is your routing number. It evidences, because all those registered mail numbers are unique. No two registered mail numbers are the same. They're unique. You can go on the USPS.com and put in a registered mail number. It'll tell you exactly who has that, where it went, what time they got it, and everything. So you have evidence that PS 3811 form is your evidence to show that they do indeed have your bond. Okay, they have it.
Okay.
Right? So now, whenever you are directing anybody else, okay, they got this thing they call what is called a demand for an order for lawful money, okay, or request for lawful money or something like that. But you can call it whatever you want. All right. What it is that when you catch, let's say you dealing with something from the court, like let's take a criminal charge. You're going to get a copy of it, a certified copy, authenticated copy of the indictment, and then you're going to do a presentment to the Treasury Department, because see, the Treasury Department got to know, okay, what accounts do you want me to offset? Okay, they got to know which ones.
Right.
Also, they need to be able to reference the bond. Okay, so when you send something to the Treasury Department, say, remember this registered mail number I sent you? You are the holder of that bond. Remember? Go back and read that bond. I told you that if you did not want to do this, just to send it back. You have elected to keep that bond. Okay, I gave you more than enough time to respond back to me and let me know that you weren't desirous to do this. You've held on to that bond. You have it in your possession. You are the holder of it. Okay, the indenture agreement on that bond specifies that I am going to be sending presentments to you for offset and adjustment, and that you are to apply those credits to the particular account of individuals or potential creditors of my straw man. All right? Now, it's a real simple process. People make it more complicated than what it needs to be. And that is keeping everything in the private. The one thing you got to understand is I got to stay in the private. I'm not bringing everything. When you start just messing with ABA numbers, routing numbers, Treasury Direct account. I even talked about a Treasury Direct account with my CPA. He said, why in the hell would you do that? Why would you have a bank account directly with the government? They're going to know every damn thing. That's the worst thing in the world to do. He was like...
Right, exactly.
You're right. He said, that's the worst thing in the world to do. Have a bank account right with the government. But he don't know everything we're trying to do with it, obviously. But I understood his point, and it was kind of insightful in what he said to me. But it's not an account, and this is also how you stay away from charges. See, like when you look on court TV, the first thing that these judges, they're going to be mocking what they call sovereign citizens, is for claiming that there is an account that exists. There's a secret account, and they're going to be up there saying, there isn't any secret account. I think we've ruled on this a number of times that this is just ridiculous. And yet these people are being tricked into believing that there is a secret account. They're right as far as I'm concerned. In the public, at least. Because they can't even talk about what goes on in the private. You'll never see a judge on a bench talk about private matters. When he makes a statement like that, he's talking about in the public. And he's 100% correct. Because in the public, don't none of that shit exist that everybody's talking about. In the private, it does. From a contract, but it don't exist in the public. That's why every time I always have somebody else send me, hey, here's a case. See, these people are trying to do what you're teaching and everything. Look how foolish they made them look in court. And I look at it and I said, Judge was right. Judge was right. You know, what he's saying.
But just like how you stated earlier, my brother and I, we had to go on the court a couple of scenarios, but it's like how you I was listening to your story when you how you were inspired to go this route, and how the person said that the courtroom was filled the first time when I tried this, But the second time where I went, and the last time when I went with my
Empty,
brother,
wasn't it?
we were the last ones
Empty.
heard and was empty.
Yeah, they always try you the first
I
time.
was like,
When they see, and they see, this is how they,
Mhm.
and see, anybody who does that, just by them doing that, that should let you know something's going on.
Yes, indeed. Yes, that's
You know
why,
what I'm saying?
that eureka to my brain.
You know what I'm saying?
I know I'm making moves,
Yeah,
and
and-
just like how you say, you gotta. The takeaway I'm getting from this, and again, I appreciate you, brother, and oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for even going through this process. I wish I could have done it a better way, but
Right.
you gotta act the part. It's not even about putting this stuff in paperwork. I'm listening, like you guys say, it's about your lifestyle change now. It's not even about presentment. It's like we living in court every day, so act in honor.
Yes.
It's that simple.
And that's what, it's like a lot of, and that's why, you like when I would meet guys, they'd say, yeah, this is Guru so-and-so. And he's man, he a beast with this stuff. The first thing I say to him, you been in court before? Been in court?
Mm-hmm.
And then now I look at what kind of cases they've handled in court. Because they say traffic cases.
Right.
Traffic case is good practice. I consider that, okay, you do some traffic cases,
Right.
practice. These criminal cases and things like that, that's another animal altogether. That's another, you're in jail, you trying to get somebody in jail, another animal. Mortgage foreclosure, another animal. You know what I'm saying? You got different degrees of this stuff. It'll work on certain levels, but then you trying on certain other levels, you got to be more of a beast. And that's why, like I tell anybody in a minute, hey, practice in traffic court. Traffic court is a great place to practice. Great place to practice is in traffic court because it's not a felony. You're not looking at doing no hard time in jail. Most probably judge give you 10 days in jail if you do give you some kind of contempt or something like that. But you're not looking at no life-changing event by going in here challenging these people in traffic court. That's a good place to practice. That's a good place to learn about it, find out what's going on, and so forth is in traffic court. I'm telling you, it's an excellent training ground. But the other stuff, I was thrown into the fire with a criminal case and knew nothing. So, little different animal and requires a lot of study that the average person is not willing to put in either. The average person, what's required of this, the average person is not going to do. What's required of this, the average person
because they'll be still doing social media and scrolling through their phones and things of that nature. And again, I don't fault them.
No, I don't fault nobody.
I don't fault them.
I don't fault them because I was the same way. I don't fault nobody because I was doing the same thing.
Exactly.
I was kind of like, what the fuck you talking about? Even when it was first brought to me, I did the same thing. I was like, what? He said, yo, man. I said, look, man, I'm trying to make some damn money, man. I don't have time to listen to this bullshit. That's how it was, Exactly. So people, you can't knock people for their attitudes when they're first introduced to the information, but it's just that the only people who ever really take it serious are the people that have problems. It takes a problem really to be utilized as the impetus to get people heavily into this information. And then the next thing is they have to understand 1 or 2 or 3 years ain't enough, baby. I'm sorry. You did 3 years in this?
No.
Not impressed. 3 years ain't nothing.
The funny thing is,
it takes
you
time.
still sharpening your knife as we speak.
Yes, you are.
And like you said, you ain't been in long.
Yeah, it takes.
So if you still sharpening your knife with the insight that you have, like we all got work to do,
still learning
brother.
stuff. I've been doing it 13 years. I'm still learning stuff, because it's levels. It's levels because you'll start going into, like what he's talking about right now. We're talking about monetization. It's people at levels, they try and put their birth certificate on trading platforms, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's levels to this information. So, traffic ticket probably be the bottom, and then up there getting your birth certificate on a trading platform probably be the top. And in between, you got different degrees. So it's like different levels of the information and everything that people have to understand. It's not just this is a secure party process and that's it. The secure party process, in my opinion, teaches you how to monetize instruments. I was fortunate enough to be associated with guys that monetize instruments, and when they taught it and I could see and I showed them what I was doing, we all kind of understood each other because that's exactly what it is. The secure party process was taken from monetizing, like we talking about a safekeeping receipt. You got to study SKRs, and then study SKRs, and then look at the secure party process. SKR means safekeeping receipt. Start studying SKRs. But as far as that, brother, that's the process. There's no account. My first duty when I come on the air is to keep people out of jail, not to get arrested, not to put together a negotiable instrument that's going to get them a public charge, not to try to access some secret account and things like this, because you see people getting arrested for it or anything like that. I'm trying to show them to understand the process. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of these gurus don't understand public and private. A lot of them don't understand what it means maintain. I didn't really understand it until I started studying trust law. And when you start training to be a trustee of a private trust, that's when you really start to begin to understand trust. And that's all. And when you study tax law, which is public law, will teach you how to maintain privacy. Studying tax law.
Well, again, when the brothers gave me the document, the trust account, and again, it's like, again, I'm a layman, so, and I just read it just from a 1, 2, 3 aspect, and it makes complete sense. It's like you're the boss. Like everything has to go through you in order for anything to occur. So that's how it should be anyway. That's private anyway.
Let me give people.
You understand? Like,
let me give people this. Don't say public and private. Stop using that if you don't like it. Say tax avoidance and tax evasion. Same thing. Private is equal to tax avoidance. Tax evasion is when you've incurred an obligation in the public. You came in the public, you did something, incurred a liability, and now you don't want to pay, and that's called you're an absconding debtor. That's tax evasion. But tax avoidance means I never incurred the obligation in the first. I structured my life in such a way as not to incur a tax obligation and become liable. It's the same fucking shit, y'all.
You should say hashtag Donald Trump.
They got mad at Donald Trump. Donald Trump don't pay taxes.
Exactly. These people get it. They get it. Like
Trump,
you say.
I'm watching at him. He's incensed. He's like, you motherfuckers. Y'all know that y'all do the same shit. All you rich motherfucking senators and shit out there, y'all know y'all do the same shit out there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You gonna sit there with that low shit. You know
oh my God, dude. Like, God, you like knocking off people. What are you doing?
You know, that's what I'm saying. You know, that Trump.
God,
and he can't really say it, though. You know, that's what he see, because you see Trump. He can't really say some things, but you know he be letting them know. You know, like you motherfucker. You know.
What you proving it? You just said about private and public. They're not hand in hand.
They don't mix.
Private to the left and public to the right. That's it.
They like, well, I don't have no proof of this because public and private don't mix. Why do you think they clear the courtroom? They clear the courtroom because they don't want the public to see it. They take you in private chambers and different things like that. That's why nobody know about that. I didn't never know that they took people in court by themselves until I started doing this. Did you? Did you ever know that they were clearing? I never knew that they did that until I started doing this process. First time it happened to me, my boy told me about that. And the first time it happened, I went in the courtroom, it was empty. I said, God. And that's when I got cocky because my boy told me, he said, if it's empty, they respect you. I said, oh, y'all respect me now.
Yes, sir.
Respect me and everything.
Got the wings behind
Yeah. Hey, man, look, I got to go to another call, bro. I got a ton of people.
Yusef, man, continue blessings, brother. You stay safe out here today, all right?
All right, brother. I appreciate you, all right? All right, peace, guys. All right, let me go to the phone lines real quick. 952-8571. You're on the line. What's on your mind? 952-8571.
501.
Okay, he doing something else. 787-0590. 787 area code. You're on the line. ¿Qué pasa, amigo? In Puerto Rico.
What's going on, family?
What's happening, my man? What's going on?
I'm calling from the beautiful island of Borinquen.
Borinquen? What is that? Is that in like Puerto Rico?
Borinquen, Soco, Puerto Rico.
Okay, all right.
Please, brother, how's everything?
Everything's good, man. What's been going on with you, man? Heard from you in a while, man. How's everything going?
Yeah, I've been, dealing with my health, and here, the people here are kind of suffering, and you know how it is. It's all.
I've been hearing about that. Got hit with, Puerto Rico got hit with the hurricane, I guess, and they rebuilding some stuff over there. I heard,
Yeah. They're trying to, it's a little conspiracy against the people on the mountain. I just got internet today. I've been having light and water. I think the water is most important,
Right.
But, this whole thing is about the harp, and
You want to talk
some
about
people don't want to understand.
They don't understand that there is a weather machine, and they don't believe it. That there's a weather machine, that they are controlling the weather. They controlling the weather, y'all. Y'all know they controlling the weather. They controlling the weather.
One day it's beautiful, the other day it's crazy. So, it's been happening around here. Plus, there's been throwing some stuff on people's crap, so, it's devastating. A lot of elderly are suffering, people,
Right.
cancer, all kinds of disease, it's crazy, people need to see this as an example. This wonderful U.S. government is doing to the people. It's all genocide, but people that don't want to step up to the green,
So,
people that don't want to step up and sue and take control, it's pathetic,
I think I heard Jordan Maxwell say this. He said that no people has ever risen up and really taken back the government in history. I mean, they understand. There's the thing. This is what I think they understand. They understand that I read this document. It was called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. The United States, they get information on all of us. They know our habits. They know everything about us. Then they compile it all in a computer, and then the computer will tell our stress levels. In other words, if we can only raise gas prices so high before they'll break. They know exactly what our breaking points are, and they know not to go beyond that. So if they find out, we can keep gas at $3 a gallon. That's as high as we can keep it. We start going beyond that, it's going to be a breaking point. There comes a breaking point. And that's what they know. They know that about it. So they can put enough pressure on us. They can oppress us, but they'll never oppress us to the point where we'll break. And that's why you got to be a person that loves freedom. Your tolerance level has to be very low when it comes to the government. It has to be, matter of fact, got to be zero tolerance. You got to have zero tolerance for any type of encroachment upon your personal freedoms and your God-given rights. You need to have zero tolerance. Because that's what they're doing. What do you think they're doing with you? Why do you think they're taking all this information, asking you for your phone number, asking you for Kroger Plus cards, and getting your buying habits and all this shit? All this shit is they're building a psychological profile on everyone in America and everything to make a determination of what your habits are and how far they can go with whatever it is that they're doing. Keeping you docile. I think that would be it. But I'm sorry, but go ahead, brother. Finish telling me about what's going on in Puerto Rico.
So people understand the so-called Puerto Ricans, because they want to be speaks, because they call my people speaks. They don't think they have the same status of the so-called black people and African people. There's a case on the Supreme Court called a Pueblo. Pueblo means town versus Sanchez Valle.
Right.
And there's a case the Supreme Court said that the Puerto Rican has the same status. But we have the beautiful opportunity to redeem ourselves. That we're talking about status, or nationality or whatever. But the problem with the nationality, there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there. They think once you have a piece of paper, you're free. That's a no-no. You need to have what they call a food, clothing, and shelter. And you don't have that, you're not even free. And people say, I have a nationality card, I have this. I'm sorry. I've been doing this for the past 25 years. There's no such thing as freedom unless you have to exercise yourself. And people out there begging and bitching and loving the Constitution. The Constitution is not ours. We have divine law. Law from the Creator. Law from your mom. But they call it the law comes from the cable tow. From your mom, from the woman. So people expecting to have a piece of paper, have nationality, and have that. This is a whole scheme. That's why our own parents, they sold up to the state because they give us a social security number. But we have the greatest ability to redeem ourselves, Yusef, huh?
We do. But I would say I love what you just said about, you're not being free unless you have land. Something I've been saying for a while. It seems like that's the elephant in the room. With the nationality proponents. I come to them and say, "Oh, you need to claim your nationality." I'm like, okay, they're doing business on your land. This is your land. All these things I know. I always get somebody comes in. Some new person come in and start trying to educate me on how this is our land, how I'm a Moor, you're not really a black person, and all of this. And some of them try to convince me I'm white. I did a whole video series on that. But the thing is that not that I'm disagreeing with what they're saying as far as we need to claim nationality, but I didn't see how that's going to be effective when you have no land, no gold and silver, and no military to enforce your rights. I've been doing this 30 years, man. You talk about the United Nations. The United Nations was formed by the Rockefellers, man. You can go read that in Behold a Pale Horse. I read Behold a Pale Horse in 91 when William Cooper put that out. So I already got my feelings about the United Nations. Maybe you don't because you haven't done any research on the United Nations. But I already have. I already been doing that since 1991. So when somebody comes, we're going to go and petition the United Nations. United Nations is the one that got the United States in the chokehold. They're the ones implementing policy through the United States. That make no sense. It don't make any sense. That's why I act the way that I do, because some of the things you say, especially a lot of young cats, you haven't read a lot of stuff. You just started doing this 3 or 4 years ago. I was like you were. I was just like you. When I was 22, 23, 24 years old, Black Power movement. I was with the Nawabian Nation. I'm rolling with a brotherhood of brothers. We're trying to educate our people. We're trying to give them information. We got a purpose. We got a goal. We're making moves and everything. I know where you at. But when you talk to me, this is years of wisdom now. All right? I'm in a different time and space. I've heard all of that you've said before. And I'm not saying that a lot of it is wrong, because a lot of it is still right. But there are some additional considerations that I think a lot of people need to make, and they're not doing that. And one of them, I think the biggest one is, y'all got to unify. That shit is shaking until you unify. All right, that should be goal number one. Got to be some unity. Got to unify. Stop spending money with people who tell you they don't like you. You got fashion designers that can tell you we don't like niggas, and you'll still give them your money. Let me tell you something. This is what people should be doing. When you in a store and you see a black person about to pick up something and buy something that and we know that particular designer don't like black people, he should feel so uncomfortable. He should be ostracized. If that girl is in the store trying to get a Chanel bag, every dude that meet her say, I don't fuck with women that got Chanel bags. I don't fuck with them. Just every dude she meet. I don't fuck with chicks that got Chanel bags. You're not conscious. Your mind is out in la la land and shit like that. You pay $5,000 for a goddamn bag. You can't pay your rent, bitch. I can't fuck with you. Okay? This is how you start a unified movement and everything. Okay? Same thing with the men. I put on me, hey, look, I can't mess with you and everything. You want to spend all your money on clothes and everything, and you ain't got no income coming in. I can't have no baby by you or something like that. You're not doing anything with your life. You sitting there. I don't fuck with dudes that play PlayStation and don't have no job. I don't fuck with them. Sorry ass niggas. Okay. This how y'all come together. Y'all gotta have some sort of principle. That's what the Jews do. Let somebody buy something and they're a member of the Jewish organization and they'd already put it out that these people are our enemy, and see, do any one of them buy anything or do anything, and see what happened to them if they do. That's unity.
That's right. But people are busy getting money. Look at here. We have the greatest opportunity in this wonderful island. There is a museum. They have artifacts. They have artifacts. They have people buried there, and they want to give that to the United States government, to the Smithsonian, because the municipality here, they cannot keep up. But if you have people are unified, none of that stuff happen. And let me tell you something, to a lot of people that they are fighting, going to court. Don't go there by yourself, because these people don't respect you when you go by yourself.
I agree with that.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Back in the day, you could expose the fraud all day long. And I live in that experience. You could expose the fraud all day long in the court. They're gonna cover their ears and then walk away. Because let me tell you something, we just lost a house, and because I'm going up there by myself, exposing the fraud and everything, and they took the house. But now we have to reconvey and see if we can sue them, and see if we can get it like that. Because as a defendant, you ain't going nowhere.
You know what? What you're saying
because
is,
we don't have no unification.
What you're saying,
we are here to fight each other.
What you're saying is something that reason I started High Frequency Radio, because, years ago what I noticed was I was like, man, I'm one person. Hey, take me and hide me somewhere. I mean, it's not going to be effective. You coming in as one person. They taking, this is doing the housing.
That's right.
They're taking people houses. I'm like, okay, you the only person know the information. Okay, they gon' run over you and do all. This is what people understand about it. They got ways of, how can I say it? Okay, if you come in with the truth, they don't ever specifically deny the truth. You'll notice this even in the court documents and everything. They'll never sign, because somebody will tell me, okay, what the judge says, I really don't give a fuck what the judge said, because he's not under oath. Okay? Put his fucking ass under oath. Put his ass on the stand, put him under oath, and question him. Okay. Now listen to what a judge had to say. All right, but he's not under fucking oath. But he's giving opinions. He's giving judicial opinions in court. But what they'll do is, they don't specifically deny the truth. What they have a way of twisting it based off your lack of understanding, engendering doubt in you, and then, or if you won't be doubtful, pressuring you in other ways, like holding you in jail. Like one of the things that a lot of people that we were taught when we first got into this is you got to be willing to sit in jail if you want to do some of these processes. And most of y'all are not, because there's a time thing involved. Let me give y'all a secret. I'm going to tell you something. This is an attorney that told me this. This came from an attorney. This did not come from Boo Boo Bay or nothing like that. All right. When I was into this, that I got to go back to that time I was in jail. I met a white man came in, and he worked for I think it was McDonnell Douglas. We have out here in Georgia, I think we have a McDonnell Douglas, but he worked at McDonnell. I think it's McDonnell Douglas.
90 seconds.
And hey, y'all, we got 90 seconds on the stream. If you're on the internet, y'all gonna have to call in. If you want to make a phone call, you got to call in. You won't be able to call in. I'm gonna get it ready in the show though in a little bit, but he worked for McDonnell Douglas, and he was a rocket scientist, and he got caught. The reason he was in jail is he got caught doing dope. Yeah, yes, your scientists like to sniff dope too. So he was on lunch break. He was on government property.
60
Police
seconds.
rolled up on him in the car. He had him a couple of, I guess he's in there snorting or doing whatever, got caught. All right, so he's in jail. And he's a scientist. He's a rocket scientist now. This is what I'm saying. All right, now, his brother was a high-powered attorney. He didn't stay in jail long. He wasn't in jail long. But when he came in, everybody directed him over to me. Hey, that's the jailhouse lawyer guy. You talk to him, whatever. So he comes over and we sit and have a very intelligent discussion. And and the kind of discussion kind of turned toward the secure party stuff. What are you reading? What are you studying? And then I began to tell him, hey, this is what the courts are doing. It's not real. You might can get out of this charge. And I'm telling him all of this. He said, my brother's an attorney.
10 seconds.
I already called him. He's in his private plane flying up right now to come and get me. He said, I'm going to go and ask him. I'm going to go ask him if any of this is true. So we go over to the phone, and he lets me listen. He's talking to his brother on the phone, and he's, he got the receiver up, and he's letting me hear what his brother's saying, okay? So his brother is telling him, so he starts telling his brother, yeah, this guy got some of this X, Y, and Z stuff in here. And he said, I just want to know it's true. This is what his brother said. He said, how the fuck did he get that in there? Yeah, it's true. He said, yeah, how did he get it in there? He said, I don't know how he got it in there, but he has it. I just want to know if it's true. He said, yeah, it's true. He said, but this is the part that got me. He said they can hold him up to a year. After that, he can sue him. Ask him if he's going to sue him. Ask him if he want to sue him. Promise. That's what I heard from an attorney. So help me God. Now, I swear, it's supposed to swear to God, but I affirm. All right, that is what he said. And then I had to study. Now, the reason for that is because they can hold you after a year if they haven't convicted you of anything. Okay, you can hold somebody up to a year for a misdemeanor. After that, it becomes a lawsuit. Because a lot of times what they'll do is they'll try to hold you up to a year, and if they see they can give you, they offer you a deal where they'll reduce it to a misdemeanor. But they got to get a guilty verdict on you, because a guilty verdict is what protects them, because a guilty verdict kills all known and unknown defenses. Remember that legal maxim. A guilty plea kills all known and unknown defenses. All right? So this is the game that's being played. And if you're not willing to sit in jail when you do some of these processes, because that's what a lot of people don't understand, they'll drag your ass. And this is what is talked about in the book of Revelation. He said the devil will put some of you in prison to test you for 10 days. 10 days is just an analogy. For 10 days. Be faithful unto death, and I'll give you the crown of life. Y'all got these books, these Bibles? Y'all don't fucking read them. And I don't apologize for making that video as Yusef a Mason. I went in on the Christians, and I don't apologize for it, because I'm telling the truth. You don't read your Bible. Everything in that video. Somebody said, I'm unsubscribing from you because I'm a Christian. You didn't even watch the video. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a Christian too. Because what I'm saying in that video is, I quote Jesus. You don't. The reason, why do I quote Jesus? Because Jesus is teaching mystery school teachings. You just don't know it. Because you're still in the kindergarten with your spiritual development. You want to use new age teachings, all this kind of stuff. You don't understand what you're talking about. You use Holy Spirit. You might as well say the Force. The Force in Star Wars and Holy Spirit is the same thing. But you don't know that, do you? It's just a word to describe something. You choose to use Holy Spirit. Yoda chose to use the Force. Or George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. Same thing. You get caught up in the nomenclature. All right? Everybody around the world has their own description of things. You need to respect everybody's religion and start practicing yours, because faith without works is dead. Hey, man, I got to get out of here, man. I've been on. I appreciate it, Puerto Rico. We're going to pray for you. I thank you, brother, for calling in. I'll
Give me a quick second, Baba.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll probably be back on the night too. Go ahead. Go ahead and give your last something because I'll probably be coming back on the night too. Go ahead.
There's two questions that I'd like to ask you. And before I get my talk, if the people will unite, we will take over the indigenous site, because that indigenous site have a lot of potential of form a system of government. That indigenous site alone. And what they're trying to do, like FEMA and stuff like that, they're trying to get, like you were saying before, they're trying to get people data, just in case people get fresh.
Right.
So they know who they live. So they're claiming, you see, a lot of people are sending stuff, water and all that stuff, and FEMA holding all that food. There's food stuck in the dock right now.
Right.
Because the people are not stepping up, and people are not fighting. There's just a little groups. But like I said before, if the people unify, every time people go to court, go with a whole lot of people, none of this stuff happens. Okay? Because the judge is afraid of us. The thing is, right now with all these gadgets, you go to the court and you could take pictures. You find that we gotta have like private investigators. We gotta go after them, go to their house, because people these days supposed to be, oh, you are beating me, I'm gonna beating you back. Because the thing is, don't do what they don't want to do unto you. Okay?
Exactly.
And another thing is, I want to change right quick the conversation. You mentioned Revelation. What Revelation is that?
Oh, that's Revelations. You talking about they put you in prison? That is Revelations. Is it true? Excuse me, I didn't have it memorized. It's Revelations 2. Let me find it. Revelation 2:10. I said 2:9. Yeah, it was 2:10. I thought it was 2:9. 2:10. Do not be afraid of what you're about to suffer. Right there, Revelations 2:10.
Okay, and another thing, right quick, and I'm jumping right to the hoop before I know you got all the people.
Right.
I haven't seen in all these years that I've been involved in this divine movement. People talking about the Social Security, how they get the money from the Social Security. How anybody out there has done that?
Well, let me put it like this. This is my understanding why you don't know. My understanding is people have done it. But the reason why you haven't heard it is because when they are allowed to do that, they get a visit. And they are told that if you give out any of this, you're going to lose everything. Okay? That's why you don't hear about it. This is what people don't understand. As the thing is that, that people have done it, but they get visits from federal agents and tell them I was told that you get an interview. They interview you and they tell you, look, here's the rules. You tell anybody this. We're taking away all your privileges. We're taking away your black card. We're taking away your access to your account. We're taking away everything. Who the hell is going to tell you? Are you telling anybody? If somebody gives you the ability to, if somebody gives you a black card with a spending limit of, let's say, $10,000 a day. I heard it say you got different cards, have different spending limits, but they give you $10,000 a day. Okay. And they say, if you tell anybody about this card, anybody, even your wife, we're closing your account. Are you telling anybody about it?
No.
Okay. That's why
I don't know. Fear is the mother of ignorance. Hey, Yusef, fear is the mother of ignorance.
Right. Right. But that's why nobody. That's why this is all about public and private, though. People got to really start studying privacy and what private means. People are expecting people to come on YouTube, Facebook, social media sites and disclose private information that's very compelling, and that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. All right, that's not going to happen. All you can do in the public is direct people where to go. All right, you can't give them remedies. You know, people peddle remedies. I'm not a remedy peddler. But anyway, hey, man, I got to go. I got to go. But thank you for your call, brother.
Hey, brother.
I got to go, brother.
Hey, thank you. And I have one more.
I got to go.
All those archives that are being all those archives on Blog Talk, do they still on Blog Talk from day one?
No. Okay, but I have them, and you know what? I'm gonna start putting them on YouTube. I'm trying to sift through the ones that I feel the best ones and start uploading them on YouTube. So look for them on YouTube, okay? Because I gotta have content on YouTube, so I might as well put them on YouTube so I can listen to them.
So what day? I don't know. Well, you have a whole list. I think you should put a whole list of everything you got, and then people go on YouTube and download it, whatever it is.
I took down, I think, 2 years worth of shows, probably about 2 years. But I'm gonna put them up on YouTube.
Wow.
I'm gonna put them on YouTube. All those. Hey, look, man, I gotta go, man.
There's no way you can. All right, thank you.
I gotta go. All right, y'all, I'm out. I know y'all gonna keep me on. It's 2:00, y'all. It's 2. I've been on all day. I'm gonna come back on again later on, though. All right, so what we got? Hope that was an interesting show for you today. We'll come back on again tonight, answer some more questions. Tonight, I'll probably have some documents. We'll show you some stuff. You know, maybe do some visuals a little later on tonight. Okay? And you have been listening to the hottest radio network on the planet. I want to say peace to the gods. I want to thank all of my supporters, too. I really appreciate y'all, man. You know, you just don't even know how much I appreciate all the support I get from all you guys. Really, I appreciate it. One more thing. Webinar. Going to be on December 6th. Secure Party. It's $450, but it's $200 pre-registration. All right? So when you pre-register, you got 3 weeks. I'm giving everybody plenty of time because I don't want nobody to say you do it at the last minute. I just said, going to start off the new year right. All right? On the weekend, it's going to be on a Saturday. It's 4 days. Probably do it like 2 weekends in a row. I'm going to take you through secure party, administrative process, and negotiable instruments all contained in one. And what I'm doing is, the reason I'm doing that, I'm trying to show you how they all are associated with each other. After I do my secure process, then what I do with these negotiable instruments. I do the administrative process. How does the administrative process tie into me as a secure party? What am I doing with these negotiable instruments? Why am I doing this? When I get through, okay, you will have everything that you need. Not to say you can't build on it, but you will have some good, solid, fundamental understanding of the process. I'm going to put you on guru status, okay? All right, anyway. Peace to the gods and goddesses. I'm out. You've been listening to the hottest radio network on the planet, High Frequency Radio, y'all. Peace. I'm out. I'll see y'all tonight.